All right. Welcome back to another episode of Young Justice with the Action Toon Bros.
Oh!
Yeah, now we're covering a brand new arc of Season 4. I don't even know what you want to call this one. The Clarion versus the Child, or the Magic and Religion episode.
I just call it.
I don't even know.
I just call it the Magic episode, to be honest.
Hell yeah. Honestly, I will say how we feel about this arc at the end of the arc, but I really, really enjoyed this, and I'm very glad to be back to recording.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Remote recording. It usually just never works out for some people, and yet somehow we made it work.
Yeah, and I was going to say that, there's going to be a lot of in-between episode discussion, because there's this one I probably have the most to probably say about, more than most of their arcs so far we've covered. But, all right, let's get into it.
Yeah,
you ready?
let's just go straight to it. Matthew Lewis of Matthew Lewis Podcasts.
Oh, at this point, I hope they fucking know who the hell
I know. This is for some reason we've
Ben
done it all.
of Action Toon Bros.
Look, we've done it in every single episode, but it's like this. I was just like, are we just doing it? Are we just okay? So
yeah, we're hitting the ground running with this batch.
This is like total episodes of Action Toon Brothers. Episode what now?
This is episode. I didn't write it down, but 60 something, I think.
Oh yeah, we're in the 60s. This show is in the 60s now. Yeah, like if they don't know us by now, they can watch a past episode.
Yeah, this is also the series, as we've probably mentioned every time, that one of the two we originally started with.
Oh
so
yeah, that's right. It was this was
form
one of the first
series.
ones we did. Yeah, you're right. So anyway,
right.
Season 4. Yeah, that's where we're at.
Episode 9.
Oh no. What?
All right, did you hear my end of the recording?
What?
I wanted to make sure you heard my end, right?
Yeah, I hear you. I only when I said that.
No, you heard my episode read?
No, I didn't actually.
Oh, let me see one more time.
All right. We're trying again, okay? 3, 2, 1.
Oh, wait.
Oh, God damn it!
I fucked up. Hey, man, it's been a while.
No. Oh, no. That wasn't directed immediately at you. That was just like me. 3, 2, 1. I go to say it again. You're just like, wait. Ah.
Yeah. I'm purposely messing with Ben at this point.
Yeah.
All right.
Season
4, episode 9.
Oh no. Okay, see, I think that's why I can't. I think that's why I didn't pick up on my end, is because you have a very deep voice on that one.
Oh yeah, it's mysterious how that happened. Magical, even one might say.
Oh.
We open on the Big Bang, a huge explosion of the creation of the DC universe, and then we see from that arose hordes of chaos and order to maintain the balance of all sentient beings in the galaxy, or in the universe, I guess, at this point. And then over that, we see Vandal Stavage, Teakle, and Fate's Helmet. Also, we don't know who the narrator is. There's some kind of mysterious new narrator.
Yep, it's just a voice.
That's when we...
Yep.
Yeah, and that's when we hit the intro.
And then after the
more
intro...
mysterious letters.
Yep, more mysterious
after the intro,
letters
we
and
open
stuff.
up in Manhattan. We see some Troggowogs crawling out of a sewer, and they start just like causing trouble, breaking stuff, messing with electronics. These weird little gremlinoid creatures. And then we see Tracy 13, Khalid, and Mary Marvel start to attack.
Excuse me. It's Mary Bromfield now.
Oh, whatever. I know who she is.
Yeah, and they're all just doing their
yeah.
magic. There are certain magical ways, because 13 is like kind of like a jinx, but not quite kind of thing with her magic.
Yeah, she has like vaguely luck-based magic. Which is one aspect of her abilities.
Khalid is definitely very druidic with his magic.
Yeah, he has a lot of creation and healing and stuff magic, and then Mary uses her like Shazam-like powers, like her strength and stuff like that, to try to capture the Troggowogs as well. We also see that Tracy's little lizard thing is called Leroy.
Yep, Leroy.
Maybe important during this whole arc. And after they manage to capture almost all of the Troggowogs, Zatanna, their teacher, shows up and tells them that they actually missed a single one, as she easily catches it and puts it into a little box thing. Then after that, the team all reveal themselves into one like little guy who's like walking around with a game system on, not paying attention as they kind of appear magically in the middle of the city.
Right.
Which I originally I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be like a weird like hologram thing or if it was like what was going on, like a training exercise like Danger Room, but like no, they're actually in the city.
Yep, they're actually in the city. They were just
magic.
Yeah, they were actually like cloaked, and then Zatanna, the moment she takes on the cloaking magic, that one guy looking at his phone, not paying attention, just bumps into her like, "Oh, sorry, didn't see you there." I'm just sitting here. I'm like, "Yeah, welcome to society today."
Yeah, and that is when Zatanna, as their teacher, tells them all the things that they need to work with. Tracy needs to stop relying on her bad luck magic because it's not really predictable and easy to control. Khalid needs to learn to fix things that are broken from his like growing and destruction powers. And then Mary is thinking too much like a superhero, using like strength and stuff like that, as opposed to the actual inherent magic she has. But she does say that they are all doing very well, and in fact, ... they're her best students.
Her only students.
Yeah, they say that too. It's like, yeah, but it's
right.
Still doing well.
But meanwhile, as all of that is happening, up in the cosmos that be, as we see, as we saw in the beginning, the Lords of Chaos and of Order, we see one tiny little red Lord of Chaos just float on down, and just goes down to like Manhattan, to a Manhattan skyscraper, and just emits.
Yeah, I think it might be the Chrysler building.
Yeah, I think that's right. And just sends out pulses a wave of energy that temporarily cuts power, and even Zatanna and the students they could sense it, but they don't know what it is. And
we see that this wave goes across the entire planet, pretty much, like cutting power out all across.
Dr. Fate is like, wait, what's this? Even at the premiere building in Hollywood, Blue Devil is just sitting there walking around. All of a sudden, he feels the pulse a little bit.
Yeah, and there's one more group that is also in the middle of a meeting discussing one of my favorite characters, Brion, and the Markovian metahuman situation. But in the middle of it, we see, as Vandal Savage is catching up with the advisor, whose name I cannot possibly pronounce.
I forget who his name is.
Yeah, it's really.
It's
hard.
Wait. I have it written down actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna butcher it. I apologize. I apologize, Markovians. I'm going to butcher this name. It's Zviad Bazovi.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. But yeah, as they're having a light meeting.
Yeah, we see that suddenly in the middle of it, Clarion starts freaking out as the wave passes over them as well. They kind of look around like, what the hell's going on? He's like, I gotta go, it's important, I can't talk, I can't Skype, and they kind of leave. The advisor's kind of like, boy, it looks like our friend is having a little bit of a weird freak out, and Vandal is just like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, Vandal is not pleased by this, and you can tell he's aware something's going down.
Yeah, because we have a little flashback from the narrator once again. 12 millennia ago, Vandar Adj, the caveman that just recently became a metahuman, was building a new society. We see that he has tons and tons of kids, and he's producing many kids. They're also producing different abilities and stuff like that. And these are the first of the Homo metahumans, as we see. We see that at one point, as he's growing his family and his society, Vandar leaves and for a while to go adventuring and exploring the planet. But as he comes back, he sees that everything is utterly destroyed and in ruins.
And it's all
seems to be.
And it's all thanks to Clarion.
Yep. This is when we have a quick cut to Andy, missed from way back in the last season.
Yes, back at the premiere building, where Andy is cleaning out some spoiled food from the fridge and stuff. And Blue Devil's like, "Whoa, hey, isn't it Gar's turn to clean this?" And Andy's just like, I mean, yeah, it is, but I did take his shift because he said he was extremely tired. So, where we actually cut to Garfield in his room, just wide awake.
Yeah, just not doing anything. We'll get more on this whole arc of the series.
Oh, there's gonna be plenty of cuts back to Beast Boy in this whole thing.
Yeah. But before that, we cut back to Zatanna and her students as they get on carousels, and Mary's kind of like, really? Carousels? We don't have time for this weird, whatever the hell that weird thing was. And she's like, yeah, that's what we're going to track. They all get on the carousel, picking their favorite animals, and then she sets them to flying as they begin to fly across the city to find out the source of this weird pulse. Mary, we learn, went by Sergeant Marvel when she was under the Captain Marvel family. She was also way too young when she thinks that because she was also like using the power and she misses the power, but that's why she needs to learn to, operate without it. As they are just, casually, flying through the sky, they almost suddenly hit a school bus that appears out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it appears out of nowhere, but it did appear suddenly.
Yeah, a bunch of kids just suddenly screaming as they're flying horses on the school bus.
And of course,
just drives
they're like, wait a minute, there's school buses at this hour? And it's like, well, I mean, Manhattan, am I right?
Yeah, I guess so.
In which case, the group stops in front of a very particular shop that I believe has been mentioned a few times in this series.
We've actually been there in first season.
Yeah, that's right, in first season. The shop of the parlor of Madame Xanadu.
Yeah, Madame Xanadu. Back in the past, again with the mysterious narrator, we see Vandar try to attack Clarion, but it is no use. Even with his immortality, he is skewered with a tree branch, burned, just completely being abused by Clarion. He's like, what the hell? This thing's not dying. What the hell's going on? But he just continues to torture him. He seems unable to actually defeat Clarion. This is when we cut back to the being who flew down, the weird little crystal being.
Yep.
As we see, it finds a giant, rare, super hard crystal with a single fracture inside of it. And we see that this is going to be the anchor being for this Lord of Chaos. Does she take her form before or after? Naming and stuff. Actually, she goes into the diamond goes into the Chaos Lord diamond shape goes into the actual crystal.
Correct.
And it forms into something.
And of course, the crystal itself actually grows into what looks like a golem type shape, and then the diamond, the weird little red thing that we've been following, as it comes out, it takes the form of a young girl who from now on is going to be known as Child or the Child.
Oh, not I'll say not yet, because we have to have a little guard come out and say, "Honey child, what you doing out here, honey child?"
Right.
He's
yes,
got a crazy accent, and she's like, "Huh, child, I like that name."
Oh, actually, before all of that, she this blonde child looks and says, "Can you please? I'm gonna call you." Looks at the golem with the one crack in it. "I'm gonna call you Flaw." Mm-hmm. Now, could you please kneel, Flaw? I would like to return the favor of letting you be my anchor. And literally just draws a face on it. Like a silly little happy face. And she's like, very good. Then the security guard comes in and is like, what you doing here, child? And the Chaos Lord's just like, child, I like that. Flaw, please reward the gentleman for naming me. In which case he just gets murdered.
Yeah, and is it when she says, I'm curious what this thing look like on the inside, or is that later?
After the guard dies, she does this oh, I like this human form, but what does it look like on the inside? Then it cuts to the premiere building again.
Yep, back to Gar. He's just sitting around, really not doing well. Blue Devil comes up to him and says, "Hey, Gar," he has a weird little Irish accent. "Hey, I just wanted to talk to you. If you need any help, I see you're kind of just sitting around a lot. If you need anything, just you can speak to me." He's like, "Hey, man, thanks. I appreciate that." And then he kind of just mopes off and doesn't seem to be,
just kind of. It's just kind of one of those awkward, "Hey, everything good? Nah, everything's chill. Everything's crash. Cool. Good talk. Cool. Good talk." And then we cut back to Madame Xanadu's parlor, where everyone's just they're talking to Madame Xanadu. And
Khalid says, what the hell, what's that noise I keep hearing? Yeah, I like that kind of music. And then she explains, oh, that's just the band that's walks around the streets all the time because we're in New Orleans. And what are you talking about?
and then Zatanna explains, trust me, her this is definitely New Orleans, and her shop is in New Orleans. We just took the Harlem. We just went through the Harlem door, though, so it's all cool. It's all chill.
Yeah, as they are teleported, and she says, "Okay, but who is this lady?" As suddenly she possesses Mary, and then Mary just gives a whole backstory to Madame Xanadu from the first season, explaining that she was a fraud and a charlatan, but after Dr. Fate's original old man owner met her and told her and convinced her to train in magic, she's became like the number one, like one of the number one seers on the planet and one of the most powerful magic users like in that time period.
Yep, absolutely.
And then they asked, like, okay, well, do you know what it was? Like, yeah, there's some kind of very powerful force out there, and she's going to send them to the location that it is, like, directly. But then, like, she, like, drops her crazy accent and says, like, hey, Zatanna, be careful. We don't know what the hell this is. But
well, and also she's like, by the way, also, holds out her hand, rubs her fingers together, like, pay up.
Yeah.
And people are
really?
like, really?
She's like, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, favors don't pay the electric bill. So Zatanna just like pays her, and then they're on off their way into that jewelry store where they see an incredibly very grotesque display of a dissected corpse.
Yeah, very detailed, vivisected human,
but
just like organs and eyes and everything completely like separated, but like connected through a weird like train of blood and organs. It's a very gruesome sight, but they're completely like, oh my god! Like,
and immediately, before we get any other context about that, we go back to the past where this mysterious narrator talks about how for over 300 days and nights, Clarion would kill Vandar, and Vandar would just keep coming back to life, and it just kept going and going and going until Clarion finally was like, you know what? I'm intrigued by you. Keep going, Matt.
Yeah, he's just saying, I'm gonna. Oh, yeah, really? Thanks for throwing the ball back. He says, like, hey, man, I have a proposition for you, but we don't find out what the proposition is. I don't think because we like go.
Oh no! We actually.
Oh no, they do make it now. They do.
Yeah,
they
actually do.
They make the deal, and he says, hey, Clarion, if you give me 1,000 years, I'll show you something that'll like really impress you more than torturing me ever could. If you agree to help. And Clarion's like, what's in it for me? And he's like, oh, you'll see. Don't worry.
Yeah, you'll see in 1,000 years. And this is when we find out also, we actually get a name drop of what the village is named.
Yeah.
Yeah, we find out that the village that Vandar founded is Atlantis itself. Mm-hmm. Back at the jewelry, they're looking at this like, wow, who would be this gross and disgusting? Khalid, who is actually a medical student, mind you, looks and says, this isn't just mindless killing. I've seen something like this before. This looks like an anatomy lesson.
Yeah, something was trying to learn about humans. And this is when, of course, as always, with perfect timing, Clarion shows up and says, and they see Zatanna sees them, and they see Clarion, and they both simultaneously go like, "What did you do?"
Yeah, every single one of them just like, "What did you do?" And then they all have a nice big fight.
Yeah, it's very, very funny. But of course, before that, we have to cut back to Gar at the store buying some sleeping pills. Just further hitting home what the really rough state that he is in currently.
But then we go right back to it.
Yeah, right back to the fight. Mary starts by absorbing Clarion's power, which we find out is actually an ability of hers. As he's doing that, we see Khalid goes for Tikal, and he's like, hey, you guys always go for my cat. You guys are so unfair. As they are just like completely getting their asses kicked, we see the child is in a huge field is it Roanoke?
Yeah, it's Roanoke Isle. We've been here before.
Yeah. Of course. We see the child making a gigantic, huge like magic circle. But as she's doing that, we cut back to Clarion, who is just completely owning all the students and Zatanna simultaneously, just showing how powerful of a goddamn Lord of Chaos he is. We see like he's literally about to choke all of them out, just completely beating the shit out of them. Just as we see the child uses the giant summoning circle, like she plucks Flaw's face and it sends out a huge signal, signaling him as he is summoned away.
Yep. Apparently that flick that made that one sound on this magic circle just made Clarion disappear and just reappear in the summoning circle.
Yeah, and then this is where we finally cut back to the narration about Vandar Adge, and we reveal that it is the Stranger talking to Vandal Savage himself. And he says, Stranger, why do you tell me what I already know?
Now,
And he
listeners,
says,
listeners, that right there, what he just said, why do you tell me what I already know? That's going to be a going theme with all of these episodes. So,
oh yeah. And he says, so you have perspective as to what's about to happen. And that is when we hit the little post-credit scene, which is Chameleon Boy and Saturn Girl sitting on a bench just casually watching Gar's show, Space Trek.
his Space Trek 3016, while eating the chicken whizzies.
Yeah, chicken whizzies from way back in season 1.
Yep. And, just all of that going on, and that's it. That's where the episode ends.
That's where the first episode ends. Now, yeah, this episode introduced a lot of stuff.
Holy shit, did it ever.
Very fun, high concept stuff that I really am interested in. Firstly, let's see, there's the Stranger, there's the Lords of Chaos and Order, there is Blue Devil, and then there's another topic I wanted to get into. But what do you want to talk about first? Because I know, I'm
okay. You know what? Let's start with my first obvious one.
Yeah.
Because Phantom Stranger. First off,
yeah,
this is the first time we actually ever see him in Young Justice, right? Or have we seen him before?
No, I believe this is the first time he's appeared in the show.
Okay. Now, secondly, the obvious question: who's the Phantom Stranger?
Ooh, isn't that the question?
No, it's the Phantom Stranger.
Yeah, he says something later that makes it. He says that's the question or something at some point. I was like, what the hell? why are they leading to him? Yeah, no, the Stranger is of course a mysterious figure in DC Comics that seems to be some sort of immortal who has omniscience or just huge, literally the meme galaxy brain, knows a ton of stuff what is happening and context for a bunch of things that he shouldn't know, and just and also seems to be functionally immortal and has been around forever. There are a number of figures from Judeo-Christian myth that he could possibly be, and the reason that he's immortal is a curse. There's one thing where he might be Judas Iscariot, the traitor from Jesus times or whatever, and then there's another one where he might be another biblical figure called the Wandering Jew, who's a Jewish person, old man who was cursed with immortality and cursed to walk to earth until the second coming. And there's a number of other figures, but there's one who is he was a regular person who did something awful back in those biblical times, and was cursed by an angel with the immortality, and that angel might have been the Spectre, who is another super powerful biblical magic angel figure.
And the Spectre is actually, obviously has not been in this before, but that's another DC character, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a hugely powerful magic and religious-based character, which this whole arc is very important about. But it's he's a vague, immortal, very, very intelligent or omniscient figure that DC that's never really. He's has multiple backstories and multiple origins, and that's why it's never really clear what he is, and that's why he's always referred to as the Stranger. Yeah, he's a very cool guy. The other thing, besides the Stranger, there is Blue Devil, who is did you ever watch the short-lived Sci-Fi Channel show from I believe the late aughts, the Swamp Thing?
No, I did not actually, because back then when I had television like that, I wasn't really super into the DC Marvel scene, except for on Cartoon Network, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. But I know I know we've seen Blue Devil a few times prior to this season. Seen him, not heard him.
In season 1 in the episode with the Injustice gang, he was one of the people we saw pop up for a second, who was dealing with the planes popping up all around the city. And I remember you asked me back then who that was, and I was just yeah, Blue Devil. He's a weird character. Don't worry about him.
Right? Yeah, because the only way when I first watched this and I saw him, I'm Blue Hellboy. Is that you?
Yeah, you literally called him who's that Blue Hellboy?
Yeah, exactly. I do remember that. But it's who's that Blue Hellboy guy? But yeah, but apparently in this one, even though again he seems to be a very minor character, but he did, however, feel the presence of that chaos energy, which begs the question: is he actually from hell? Is he legitimately a demon of hell?
It's very bizarre. His backstory is very silly. I think he might even be like a DC and other like Wildstorm and things like what always like do like parody characters of each other. I think he might be like a shot at Hellboy. I'm not sure, but his actual origin was that he was a human stuntman who would like do stunts for movies and stuff like that. And at one point, someone had made him this like super detailed prosthetic devil costume. And he had put it on, but there was actual magic, like some idiot prop person used an actual magic spell book when they were doing the film, and he was trapped inside of this, and over the course of time, he's become like an actual physical demon as a result, and it's like access to like hell powers and stuff like that. But it's in his trident was also like a movie prop, but it became like actually magically charged. It's a very funny backstory.
I was about to say, I'm like, that sounds really fucking... That sounds stupid, but at the same time, why hasn't Hollywood done anything like this?
I know. That movie Fall Guy could have been perfect if Ryan Gosling was magicked into a devil suit to turn into a real devil.
Yeah.
It's very silly, but it is like it's actually really tragic. Characters mostly tragic.
Knowing that backstory, obviously, he probably was able to feel that like chaotic energy. Because of, something his backstory, he's actually a demon now with hell powers, etc.
Yeah, and that also brings me to the Lords of Chaos and Order. They don't really explicitly say it, but these two beings are actually directly tied to magic in the DC universe more than anything else.
Well,
more than like...
They don't explicitly...
more than any like kind of like cosmology or any kind of like religious stuff. Like their aspects, the gods of chaos and order are literally like arbiters and controllers and aspects of magic specifically.
Well, see, here's the thing. Yeah, they never explicitly say it, but knowing that, this is the magic part of, what we're doing, and knowing that, Dr. Fate, Clarion, etc. like that, I feel like there's enough context clues where we would be able to see this.
Yeah, but yeah, it is important that like to know what their actual like because we're gonna get into the cosmology and like religious aspects of this story and DC universe as a whole eventually, but like it's like that just understanding what those beings are in relation to like the gods and demons and afterlives and all kinds of stuff like that. Understanding what the Lords of Chaos, and that's why the demons are directly tied to the magic of the chaos, and that's why like he was able to tap into that, and that's why like,
it's kind of like
become an aspect later on in this series.
It's kind of like in D&D lore, like actual D&D lore, where it's like chromatic dragons are they're just whatever, they're just chromatic dragons. But if Tiamat has anything to do with it, they're all like, oh yeah, hello master, what do you need, kind of thing.
Yeah. Of course. And then another minor thing I wanted to bring up before while we're still in the middle of episode thing. Did you ever watch, speaking of DC shows like Swamp Thing, Lucifer, the show Lucifer?
No, it never caught my eye.
Okay. It's another DC Comics series. It's like a procedural after Lucifer decided to leave Hell, which we'll get into later on in this series. He kind of just gave up the keys to hell and said, I'm just going to go to Earth and be like a silly detective with my, super powerful, almost near omniscient abilities and just be like a fucking local goofball detective. But of course, aspects of heaven and hell, of course, start interfering with all that, and they get these very huge and crazy with the, cosmology of DC once again. But we'll get more into why that's important, Lucifer giving up the keys to hell at some point later on in the show. Currently, we have to get to the next episode of this arc.
Yes. Episode 10 of season 4.
Episode 10.
Nomadicia. You're so weird with it. We start, actually, with not some mysterious person, but we actually start with Vandal Savage narrating this time. And how and how life was after that encounter with Clarion. Well, Vandar Aj apparently repopulated Atlantis, and a century. So, like, it hasn't been 1,000 years yet. 100 years later, the village grew into a bigger city. And, of course, Vandar saw the birth of his latest grandson, which is Arian. And after he saw that, he's like, you know what? I'm going to travel some more. I'll come back in a while. 200 years later. 200 years later, he comes back.
Varljat.
Oh yes, that's right. Because the names are gonna keep changing. But Varljat, who was sorry, words. Vandar comes back and finds that Atlantis not only is even more prosperous than before, but it's been 200 years. Because he left immediately after his grandson was one of his latest grandsons were born, and it is ruled by Aryan himself.
We find out that Aryan was gifted with immortality. Like
the first
or Varljat, I mean.
we all know by now that it's going to be, but anyway, Varljat saw that the first of his descendants of all the children he's been making for hundreds of thousands of years, we finally get the first immortal of them all.
Yeah.
Cut to the title card. Yep.
All right, and then we see the students kind of like finally struggling back, recovering from that complete ass whooping that they got at the hands of Clarion.
Thankfully,
they all have strangle marks on their necks. They're all fucked up.
Well, thankfully, Khalid, being a healer, pretty much a healer mage, of course, was able to cure the bruising and everything of the choking.
Yeah, and we see that they are approached by the stranger from last episode. He talks to them about, like, hey, I need to discuss with you what's going on. We cut to Roanoke, and we see
no. Hold on. I need to talk to you about something. Flip's cloak. Next scene. Because that's what he does. That's what he fucking does.
Dramatic cloak flare.
Anyway, back at Roanoke Island. Meanwhile, at Roanoke Island.
The child and Clarion finally meet, and they discuss what the Chaos Lords are up to. He says, like, hey, I'm doing my job. What do they send you down here for? I don't need a babysitter. And she's like, oh, you don't understand. They're tired of your utter failure, so I'm here to replace you, Clarion. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about, replace me? And she says, well, since you're working for the Savage, she keeps referring to him as the Savage. You're basically, and he's basically fucking a Lord of Order, and you're pretty much just his servant. And, like, just like all the stupid things you've done. And, like, hey, what about, the, like, making the world of just adults and kids? And then, like, he refers to everything that Clarion's done so far, the giant rutabaga monster. And then he also says the Earth-17 fiasco, which I'm like, what the hell is that reference to?
Yeah, same here. Like, when I heard that one, I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah, but of course, while anything, super crazy and interesting is happening, we have to cut back to Gar, as we see he's in his bed, sadly looking through photos as he slips deeper into his very serious depression. And just completely puts his phone down, continues to just lie in bed, completely, But then
Matt. We've been doing all this magic shit and everything, right? What about McGann? How's she doing?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. She's still on that 2-week flight back to Earth.
Yes, we actually get the cut back to Baby, where McGann is, like, literally on autopilot because, everything that happens, she is just closed off to everything. Jean and Emery are sitting with her, and it is like a silence of tension that is so high you could cut it with a butter knife kind of thing. It is that thick. And Emery's just like,
Emery is kind of like, are we there yet? And then like John's like very serious. He's like, no, Emery, it's going to be several more days. She's like, I know Uncle Jean. I was making a joke like humans do.
Yeah, and of course McGann still can't do anything, looking at the ring that she's wearing for the wedding, And Emery's just like, Jean, can you help me prepare dinner? And, as they're leaving, she's like, McGann, are you okay if we keep you here by yourself? And after a few times of saying it, McGann's just like, huh? Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Jean, like everyone else watching this, is like, all right, Emery, I know you didn't want to actually, make food. What's up? And Emery's like, dude, I'm worried about her. And Jean's like, she needs her family. And Emery's like, but we're her family. And Jean's like, she's spent most of her life on Earth. Maybe being with her Earth family might help a little bit.
It might be a little bit better for her mental health.
And Emery's like, have you seen her right now? This entire trip, I don't think she has that long.
Yeah, it's really rough. But back in the past, back to Vandal Savage narrating the story of Varljat, we see Aryan is being monitored by the Lords of Order, and he receives a crown from them. And then we learn as well that Arian is going to be the progenitor of Homo Magi, who are going to be the first humans with the abilities to use magic.
Also known as, and also like the first metahumans.
No, not the metahuman. Homo Magi are the magic users.
Oh, right.
Homo Meta was from Vandal.
No, you're right. The first, sorry.
Along with the Homo Meta, they're going to like advance Atlantis, because they see through techno sorcery between the the intelligence of the metahumans and the magic of the Homo Magi, they turn it into the greatest civilization the planet has ever seen, possibly since.
Arian is like very happy with this.
And all kinds of cool ass stuff. Yeah,
Arian is happy with this.
Incredibly impressive situation.
Sorry, I keep talking over
Varljot says like that's how recording works now these days. Varljot says this is amazing, but in his heart of hearts, his constant greed, he says he wants more.
Yes, he literally is like looking at everything and is like, look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Yes, he Disney princesses it by saying that he wants more.
Well, they are in Atlantis, so it makes sense.
True.
One of the best movies.
Yes, absolutely. Back in Manhattan, we see
the stranger just fluttered his cloak for no reason as he continues to talk to them about what's happening. Clarion and the child are going to fight, and their fight could be completely disastrous, but one of them may end up dead. And they say... they're like, okay, good, let them fight. Fucking Ken Watanabe from Godzilla ass saying, just let them fight, who cares?
Yeah, who cares? Like, seriously, we don't need this. And the stranger's just like, oh, you don't understand. Whips his cloak, and she disappears. Yeah. We cut to Roanoke, where the battle is going even crazier than before, because, I mean, let's face it, two Lords of Chaos, it's bound to get a little crazy.
Yeah, they're throwing gigantic, things at each other, branches, and all kinds of crazy laser magic giant snakes. It's a crazy cool fight. But as they say that their powers seem to be evenly matched, we see that, hey, she says, you may have the power of you, but I have the power of all the Chaos Lords. As they're doing some crazy ass cool monster fighting, Clarion teleports behind her and lasers her in half, literally cuts her in half. And he says haha, I win. But we see she kind of just reforms easily. And she says, yeah, you see, you don't understand. They're all supporting me. No one's on your side, Clarion. As he realizes he is vastly outpaced here.
Meanwhile, back to the past again.
With Varljot.
Yep, Varljot.
He's saying, hey, my Arian, my son, I have a great idea. Let me sink the city. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, let me sink the city, and the Homo Magi may evolve into an even more powerful state if they live underwater. And he's like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, Dad. Get the hell out of here. You're a crazy person. And he says, well, you'll see, as we find out that the 1,000 years has finally been complete, and Clarion returns.
Yep. As agreed.
Back with the stranger, you see that he says, okay, no, you guys, I need you to follow me, because there's another person who I need in this magic fight, and you're going to help me talk.
And we go to London.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you take this part because I'm sure you're a fan.
And so we just go into this strange study where there's a whole bunch of weird artifacts and everything like that, and the stranger's like, don't worry, everything's fine. I'm trying to get another bit of help, and in this place, the Sanctum Sanctorum, and immediately Jason Blood walks on in, and he's like, yeah, I know you're here. What do you want? And the stranger's like, you know what's going on, right? And Jason's just like, yes, trust me, I did feel the chaotic energy rising. Looks at Mary, don't touch that. Yeah. And then with all the magic in his house. And then the stranger and Jason keep talking about how this is going to be very bad and that they need the help of a certain friend. And Jason looks at Mary and says, don't touch that either. And it's like, look, I get that you need my friend, but it's my friend. I don't want him to be out here. He's really bad. You know this. And the stranger goes to talk, but then Jason looks and says, look, stop touching my things. Don't touch anything.
They're all very powerful magical items, so don't touch anything.
And then the stranger's like, look, you really know that this has to happen, right? You know he has to come out. And because he is definitely going to help because, and like Tracy is like, just so you guys know, Zatanna is still out there on the front row seats. And of course Jason's like, dude, my friend's a cannon, and it is a cannon compared to a lot of things. And so 13's like, okay, if your friend's a cannon, aim it. And so Jason just like pretty much gives in, and he does his incantation to become the demon.
Whoa!
What?
Before you say, you don't know the incantation?
I didn't write it down this time.
I mean, you don't know it by heart from all the other appearances of this dude?
Look, I've had a moment.
Even the short version?
Okay, you're right. I know the very, very, very short version. Where he just, in this case, he actually gets down on his hands and knees. And then he cool. He chants the longer version of this, but to summarize, it's pretty much gone, the form of man, unleash the demon Etrigan. And Etrigan. And Jason Blood becomes Etrigan, and Etrigan, it's Etrigan. How can you hate him? Yeah. He's a lovable, stupid barbarian type demon.
He's
How
the
can you hate him?
funnest dude ever. Yeah. You want to keep going? Yeah. Oh, this is when we cut back to the ship with Emery and McGann.
Yep. And of course, Emery is very impatient and is feigning it, and is just like, just wow, this is gonna be really, really boring. I mean, why did I even want to come to Earth at all? And McGann's like, dude, nobody asked you to. And just, Emery starts getting really fucking angry with McGann, kind of out of nowhere. And as they're having an argument, in the middle of this argument, McGann's like, wait, I know what you're doing. I'm a therapist. You're trying to get some catharsis out of me. And literally, as they're still yelling at each other, Emery's like, is it working? And McGann's like, yeah, it kind of is. They both stop. They for the first time ever in a long time, McGann laughs. Like, we're talking, this is like a 2-week trip to Mars. And out of this entire trip, I don't know how long they were on this trip, but for the first time ever, she actually got to laugh. And even Emery's just like, dude, I have not seen you laugh since. And then, just the tears come. They bring up Connor's death, and she finally, lets out how bad she feels. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
very cathartic for both of them.
And then,
of course.
outside of Baby, out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, a school bus hits Baby and then disappears.
Yeah, the screaming school bus, and then they just hit it, and what the hell was that?
And it's like, I don't know, maybe it was a false alarm. Shrugs. Meanwhile, back at Blood, there you go, back at Etrigan. Etrigan's just like, looks at Mary. Your powers are very similar to like the guy that I know. Huh.
Yeah, we see that he's kind of like all in everyone's faces, being a weird little giant hunched over demon gremlin. He's just being a huge asshole. He senses that she has another side to her. That's what he says, that they're similar, and like you have another half of side of you that you're not, But he says, "Hey, Etrigan, we need you to fight." Also, we notice that Etrigan's like, normally it depends on the writer or the whatever DC continuity it is. Sometimes he exclusively speaks in rhyme. And sometimes he's like, on and off. I couldn't, sometimes it's like a thing where it's like only, the most highest level demons, like it's like a flowery speech for demons to like speak every word in a rhyme. Which I'll say personally, I like when he does rhyme all the time. That's much more fun.
Oh yeah, and Etrigan,
he's like half doing it.
Yeah, and this one's like Etrigan does and doesn't at the same time.
Yeah, but he says he's like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to fight. As he says like, hey, I'm going to send you to the fight between the two Chaos Swords, and you're going to help Clarion. That's what you're doing.
And Etrigan's like, look, listen here. I'm not going to cape flap. Doesn't even let him finish.
He's there at the fight.
Doesn't even get to finish it. But yeah.
Yeah.
So more.
You see, he's actually really strong. Of course, I think that at some point he mentions that his his brother is Merlin, which is always just like, yeah, hey, that's a little shout out to Etrigan.
Yeah, seriously, yeah.
Huge important thing for the Cambion Bros.
But then we see like there's a whole bunch of things going on. The fight's going even crazier, and even
crazy huge fight. Etrigan's breathing huge amounts of fire at Flaw and actually trying to take it out, but like being flung across like huge, gigantic, mountain-sized chunks of like the earth are being risen up, but he's just like crawling up it and just like climbing around. It's a really fucking cool fight.
Yeah, and then when Etrigan gets gets knocked down, Clarion tries to keep fighting, but Flaw as Clarion works, Tickle, meow. Oh, of course, I have to attack the anchor, and of course that doesn't work very well. And as he's getting his
even Etrigan's fire breath is like only like hurting the little crack in Flaw a little bit, but not like destroying it.
And then as all of this is happening, we hear meow. Wait, rock tsunami? That doesn't make any sense. Looks around, sees a literal giant mountain-looking thing, and Clarion's just like, "Oh, carp."
Yep, and this is when we cut back to Valjat and Atlantis. As we see Valjat talking to Clarion about his stupid plan to sink Atlantis. He says that's what he's going to do. As the city is being like crumbled and destroyed by Clarion's magic at the behest of Valjat, we see Arian trying to save the city using his magic. But he is like unable to hold back, and he is crushed by a real symbol, like a giant statue of his father's head, crushes and kills the immortal Clarion, or the immortal Arian, as Clarion is just like laughing. But of course, as usual, with the ever unpredictable Lord of Chaos, his magic is far too strong, and he sinks the entire continent of Atlantis into the ocean.
But, however, the original plan of Varojat did actually work. For, yes, there was going to be a lot of sacrifices with the sinking of this. But with some of them that died, some of the Homo Magi and Homo Meta actually survived and became water breathers, the Homo Mermanis.
Yeah. Yep, they evolved and they took over 2/3 of the planet. Also, we forgot to mention earlier, his whole weird, goofy, seeming out of nowhere plan was because that as he traveled those 200 years away from Atlantis, he discovered that the Earth is like 70% water. And so he could never rule the whole planet if he does not have underwater breathing humans, and that is why he wanted to sink the planet. He wanted to sink the city and make Homo Mermanis. So he did get his way in the end, despite losing his son and losing a whole continent. The Homo Mermanis evolved, and they took over 3/4 of the planet underwater.
And with Varl and Clarion both satisfied, Clarion's like, "You want to know something? I kind of like what we have going on here. Let's be partners in crime."
Mm-hmm. And he's just like, "Sure, man, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll use Clarion as a means to an end, but we'll work together for now."
Back at Roanoke, we see Etrigan, just leaping onto that giant thing of earth that child is lifting. Tries to breathe hellfire again, but let's be honest,
he burns her to he burns her to like literal skeleton bones, and he's just like, you little idiot. And then she, of course, just reforms because she has all the power of the Clay Castles with her.
Yep, and then just no, it's funny because she's a skeleton, and he's like, haha, I got you. Then she comes out of her own socket, and it was just like, oh, how cute.
A little tiny version of her pops out of the eyeball.
Yeah, this out of the eye socket, it's just like, oh, how cute. And then just like, man, it just gets really fucking crazy, is all I gotta say.
It's a cool ass chaos fight between like the two most powerful magic beings on the chaos side. It's gonna be fucking crazy. Yeah, as we see that Clarion is crushed under the huge giant like mountain, Zatanna is actually in a flood of water that poured from that, as she is like drowning in water as like the outpour of that giant mountain. And then we see that the kids have also been teleported there by the Phantom Stranger, as Khalid saves her and begins to perform CPR. Does he CPR or does he use magic?
No, he actually uses a healing spell.
Okay, yeah. He heals her with the magic. And this is when the Lords of Chaos and Order are like, they seeing that they're like, okay, Clarion and Vandal are like weird aspects, but they're kind of.
Well,
we see that.
Hold on.
The narrator says that chaos can serve order and the other way around. They can be like have a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, but in the meantime,
it is revealed.
In the meantime, as that's happened, well, you skip the part where they go to the Tower of Fate, thanks to the stranger.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks to the stranger doing his cloak thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after he does,
while he's there, the narrator.
Yeah, the narrator does the wrap up, and as you find, which we all know is Vandal Savage, but after telling the story about how order and chaos can serve each other so long as balance is maintained, we see him in the Tower of Fate with Dr. Fate, and Dr. Fate is like, why are you telling me what I already know? And
father,
father, and Vandal says, because to remind you, Naboo, of what must not be forgotten.
Yeah.
And of course, he explains about modern Atlantis could not have existed if it were not for the chaotic side of things. The whole sinking thing. But just like without without all of that, Atlantis wouldn't be what it is. And of course, Fate is like, yeah, but it was thanks to those survivors, that did it. And of course, the whole point that Savage is making is, if this whole fight with Child happens, who's going to stop the Child? You with your aging body? If Clarion, if this battle keeps going, everything's going to go off balance. And of course, Dr. Fate just dismisses this because, it's Dr. Fate.
Yeah, he's not concerned. But this is when we cut to the final post-credit scene, and we see Cassandra Savage just like watching the Earth from Warworld with Vandal in the present, just kind of like monitoring all the crazy shit going on, and just kind of like just taking notes while he's doing that.
And of course, he also as it's going on, you see the planet side, and you see a whole bunch of like chaos going on, and you hear Vandal. He's like, all right, since this battle is going on, activate Project Lifeboat. Don't worry, get all of the light members evacuated to Warworld. Also, offer the same to Ra's al Ghul. I know he's probably not going to accept, but offer it anyway. By the way, all of the contents of his I guess he has a thing called a history cave, and the Cybaks. Just I want all the Cybaks moved to my cave for safekeeping, kind of thing. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, wow, Vandal Savage really does think of everything, doesn't he?
Well, I mean, he's had literally all the time in the world. So.
Fair point. But anyway, that
presumably
is where
12 millennia.
Yeah, that is where it all ends.
Yep. That is the end of this episode. What a great episode. The Demon Etrigan, a very, very fun character.
Absolutely.
I'm assuming you were first introduced, what was it, in Batman TAS? I think he popped up before Justice League.
Surprisingly enough, yeah, it was Batman the Animated Series, Season 4, surprisingly enough.
Yeah.
That's also where Clarion's introduction was.
Yeah, of course.
And
the whole thing about being related to Merlin, because the Merlin is a Cambion, aka a half demon. And,
Well, that was lightly said. That was lightly said in Batman TSA, though, where it actually took root. The whole backstory of Etrigan and everything actually happened in Justice League.
Yeah, I remember we got a lot more of him in that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where a lot of people got to introduced.
The thing I like,
he is very, very fun.
The thing I like we talked about with Etrigan, the whole rhyming thing he does, what he used to be, when he first debuted in the TSA, Etrigan would always rhyme every single time. But at the very end of the episode, it was hilarious because he was saying some kind of rhyme about what he's going to do with Clarion, and one of the Robins is like, "What are you talking about?" And then for the first time ever, he broke his rhyming thing. He's just like, I'm sending him to his room. And then he just vanishes. But yeah, it's just
he's very fun.
He does it in Justice League Dark. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. Yeah. No, the first one, not the Apocalypse War. The first one.
The one with Constantine running around with Batman. They
yes.
Show Batman in for
because
no
it's and I like. Don't get me wrong, I'm okay with Batman, but it's just like, why? Why was Batman in here? But anyway, like Etrigan did appear close to the end, and he was doing his rhymey thing, and someone's like, "Can you stop with the bloody rhyming?" And all he did is just like, "Party pooper," and just like kept me. It's like in previous incarnations of him, he was always like rhyming, and like every once in a blue moon, he would actually just get to the point, kind of thing, and just say what he
I'm
means.
sure it's probably just more like the writers getting annoyed.
But in this,
write rhymes for every sentence.
or it's kind of like the whole reversal thing where you have a character, you know how they're gonna be, and then they drop that one thing, and it's like, oh, ha, haha, that's the joke. He does it all the time until that one moment. But in this one, it's definitely a mix. It's definitely like he will say what he means, but every once in a while he will do the rhyming as well. It's like a perfect balance kind of thing.
Yeah, very interesting. I was gonna say the this whole arc with Vandal and Etrigan and everything, really, really, really fantastic series from the New 52 back in 2011. If you're gonna read any comic thing, I highly, highly suggest seeking out Demon Knights. It is an incredibly fucking fantastic series. It's like a like basically a like Middle Earth D&D setting ass time period in Earth where like there's tons of magic and like crazy dragons and monsters around. But the party or like the main DC team up in this series is Etrigan, Vandal Savage, Sir Easton the Shining Knight, an Amazon who's like exiled called, I think she's called the Exile, and a Arabic alchemist who may or may not be Ra's al Ghul. It's just them like running around doing really, really cool fucking like D&D adventures with this party.
Right.
And of course the main gimmick is that they are all like in different ways functionally immortal. Mm-hmm. Like the Amazon is immortal because she's, you know, from Amazon, from what's it called, Themyscira. And I think she might be like Hippolyta's sister, so like Wonder Woman's aunt eventually, but it's like, you know, thousands of years in the past. And it's like, it's a really, really cool story of them just doing all kinds of really fucking cool adventures. And I really highly recommend it. There's also, like, way back in 2011, Sir Easton is, like, a non-binary character who's, like, you really can't tell what the gender of the person is. And it's, like, a huge aspect because the Amazon is obsessed with them and keeps, like, referring to them as female, even though they keep, like, trying to tell her, like, no, I'm not male or female. Can you please stop doing that? But, like, the Amazon is super obsessed with her, so it's, like, really funny at the dynamic between those two. But, like, it's a fantastic series. Definitely seek it out. There's some really, really cool adventures in it. And it was a really short run. But it's also a time we actually get to see Vandal being a hero and, like, an actual, like, protag in that group. Because he's pretty much, like, goofy movie Thor in that he's, like, huge, he's strong, he's can't be killed. But he's just constantly, like, you know, making stupid jokes or, like, fucking with everybody else or being drunk or not taking anything seriously. But he's with the good guy team, like, going on good guy adventures. And it's really cool to see Vandal like that. And, of course, yeah, like I said, Etrigan's just, like, the fucking super hard tank in that group because he's fucking super strong. But, yeah, definitely seek out Demon Knights. It's fantastic.
Okay, so you said you were talking about Demon Knight, and I wanted to, but then, like, you kept saying things. I'm like, what are you talking about? What does the Crypt Keeper movie Demon Knight have anything to do with this?
Yeah, the Crypt Keeper movie Demon Knight. No, Demon, K-N-I-T.
Yeah, no. Like, hey, funny story. That movie from the Crypt Keeper is actually called that as well.
Coolsies. I wonder which came first.
Obviously, it's probably the DC thing came first. Let's be real, but I'm just.
Well, it was 2011. So
well then, yeah, definitely, because that was a ~90s movie. I think the Crypt Keeper one was, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, but either way, joke aside.
Yeah, that's a huge recommend to you, Ben. I know that you really, really love that series, and I love.
Yeah, just send it through my Discord so I can take a look at it, like just the name of it and everything. Where can I find it?
Probably like the DC Comics app. I know they have like literally everything on there, like incomprehensibly just available for like the subscription fee or whatever. But they have like every comic like ever written on those apps. Those apps are insanely good. This is not a paid ad. I wish I was being advertised by them. That'd be fucking great. The other thing I wanted to talk about was shows with magic schools. Do you seek those out besides the obvious Harry Potter?
Well, first off, I never sought out Harry Potter. But
Oh, it just appeared in everyone's lives,
um,
unfortunately.
yeah,
For
that one
real,
just
unfortunately.
appeared. Let's be honest, that one just appeared. But anyway, as to like anything with a magic system, I mean,
Magic school
oh, school
specifically.
specifically. My apologies. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
honestly, I have to rewatch it.
Did you never watch? You didn't
Yeah,
watch was it
yeah,
Legacy?
kids.
Legacies was a CW
Ben's
show
getting his
spin off
weeb out.
from.
Ben's
Yeah, I go. Are you still there, Ben?
yeah. Oh, I'm still here. I was just waiting for you to,
Oh yeah, no, my shows are all going to be like Western TV shows.
Oh, I
Like
only
half of
have.
them are from
Oh, I only
Netflix.
have
You have some
one.
anime.
Oh, I only have one to be honest. That I've
Okay, yeah, what's yours?
because I really don't like seek out things as much anymore unless I find
Mhm.
an interest for it. But the second season of Ancient Magus' Bride actually takes place at like a sorcerer university where they're all learning magic.
Hell yeah.
So that's the only
I was gonna say,
that's the only representation I can give aside from points at Harry and the pothead or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I was gonna say, Legacies was a spin-off of a spin-off of Vampire Diaries that has a lot of like magical beings and stuff like that in it, which is it's a pretty okay show. I don't even know if it's, I'm pretty sure it was like ended like fucking 10 years ago. The Magicians was a really fantastic book. I read the first book, and I know the show ran for like a huge amount of seasons, and it was really, really like popular. I think it was on Sci-Fi Channel. The Magicians is like a more hardcore, like grown up, like pretty much like college age American. So it's lots of fucking drugs and sex
Yes.
and using magic to be a dickhead scammer. But it's like that's a really, really fun show or a really fun book. I never watched the show. The other one's Sabrina on Netflix. Did you watch that one?
Oh, that's like the grittier version of like Sabrina.
Yeah, the really into demonology one.
Well, right, yeah,
Like,
because
lots and
I
lots of
like the way
demon
I
in it.
heard the way I heard it. It was like because I have yet to watch it, but I heard that it was like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, only grittier and more adult. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like, oh, so they're just gonna, okay, thank you, kind of thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very, very weird. The show, like I said, they are really into like demonic imagery and like Satan worship. Like they like explicitly say that those witches are like like with Satan worshippers, and there's a lot of like demon and devil imagery. It's crazy. But the other show, Wednesday, did you watch that on Netflix yet?
I did start watching it. I got through season one, but
Yeah, I think it only has one season right now.
oh, it did. Oh, does it? It's been a while. Like when it first came out is when I first watched it. But honestly, that one has a bad taste in my mouth now because, and I'm getting over the bad taste. It's just something person I watched it with is like used to be a really 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 good friend of mine, and then just like fucking rebooted it, like booted me out of the group for like reasons that were actually very stupid. But no,
Oh,
I
completely
remembered
understandable.
liking it, and hey, Matt,
Yeah,
can you and I agree on one thing?
I haven't watched the show yet.
Wait, you had it? You had? Well, all right. Look. I'm gonna say two names, okay?
Uh huh.
And I'm gonna connect it with one word, okay?
Yeah,
Morticia Adams,
of course.
played by Catherine Zeta-Jones.
I was gonna start singing the workaholic song about Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah, it's like,
She's fantastic.
yeah, like she, like they're obviously like a little more minor than usual because it's about Wednesday going to school, like to this academy
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
thing. But who they got to play the other members of the actual Adams family? Because let's face it,
Yeah,
they've
Luis
done.
Guzman is fucking fantastic. I love
Wait,
Luis
wait,
Guzman. He's
wait.
hilarious.
Wait. Hold on a second. That actress name. That's the '90s movies, right?
No, Luis Guzman is the father. He plays
Okay.
the dad.
Like the current in Wednesday, Gomez.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, it's just everything.
Gomez.
But anyway, just every iteration of Adam's Family, from the black and white TV show to the cartoon to the '90s movies, yes, even to the 3D animation ones. Which first one was okay, but then they had to make a second one. We don't talk about that one that often.
I still haven't seen any of those either.
Let's just say you're not really missing out on anything. You can do it for the
Yeah.
experience. But anyway, I just like seeing the different like who they get for each of the family members. And I will tell
It's
you
always
this
interesting, yeah.
every single time, like I said, except for the 3D animation ones, because I mean, like I said, the first one was okay, but the second one, anyway. But every single iteration of that cast is really good, and in Wednesday it's no different.
Yeah, I was gonna say also American Horror Story Coven, the second season. Oh no, third season of American Horror Story Coven was fucking. I love that show to death. It's so campy and insane.
Rolls
and of
eyes.
course, Coven there's like 20 million plus. Oh, come on, American Horror Story is fucking wonderful and I love it. It's even the bad seasons.
Look,
like the
don't
last
get me
couple,
wrong. Look, don't get me wrong. It's not from lack of trying. I did actually try American Horror Story. As Toki Wartooth said about Snakes and Barrels, it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I'd say the first season is like, it's every season is a unique tone and like a whole gimmick, but like they really change a lot, and it's like escalating to like a point where there's huge crossovers and it's very enjoyable. But it's an incredibly campy, stupid show, and I love it to death.
It's true.
Another one that I really, really love, I think it was a Hulu exclusive, Motherland Fort Salem. It's really fucking fantastic.
Never heard about
it's
that.
It's like
one.
a normal, yeah. It's like a normal. Actually, it's more like a weird AU where like there's a private witches school where they're trained like a military school, and like they're a known thing. Like humans know about witches existing, but it's like a really, really cool series. Definitely check it out because it's like they're just super powerful beings that just exist in the world publicly, and it's really, really cool show. This is hard to find as hell. And then the last one I wanted to mention was a show that I grew up with back in the 90s, a little HBO show called The Worst Witch. Did you watch that?
No, you're assuming I had HBO in the 90s.
Yeah, it was like, it was like before Harry Potter, but it was just a very goofy thing about this girl going to a witch school to study magic, and like she's just like goes on little campy adventures. I think it was a British show that they just happened to like get and be able to air on HBO. We would always watch it like early in the morning whenever we caught it on. It was just so fucking like cozy British fuzzy camera, bad like really, really shitty special effects. Like a dragon would be like a guy in a fucking fursuit. It's like really, really cheesy effects for the 90s, but it was a really fun show.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Definitely seek out footage if you can find it. It was like so goofy and like little kid books. But yeah, it's very weird that came out before Harry Potter. That's always really surprising to me.
But anyway,
yeah, and of course the thing we didn't even talk about, the weirdest thing about the show is that it introduced Homo Magi, Homo Meta, and Homo Mermanis, which I was just like surprised as hell that they actually went into all that stuff.
Yeah, they actually did. They actually went into some really good detail on that. And
finding out that Vandal Savage is the progenitor of all of it's very crazy too.
And we can find out even more on the next episode. Season 4, episode 11, because let's be honest, we've been on episode 10 for quite some time.
Of course. Well, there's lots of that was a crazy episode, but yeah, let's go to episode 11.
Tag ye Derek. We start off in the past again, where Dr. Fate, also known as Naboo, is narrating the history of the Lords of Order and their relationship with Earth. Rather than
they do not directly visit planets.
Yeah, they do not. They do not go directly. Not like the Lords of Chaos, but instead they actually just empower a human to act on their behalf as a sort of earthly agent. Arian being the first
champion,
of
them. a single champion. When the human spirit should be enough to overcome the Lords of Chaos.
Arian was the first of these, and however, with this whole alliance between Varl Jat and Clarion, and the whole sinking of Atlantis, since that was that was viewed as a huge escalation, with the combination of Arian's death, they were forced to reassess everything. So they watched as Varl Jat, or now in the Babylonian time, he was now known as Marduk. Yep. So they had to sit and watch and see how this all goes. With now his name is Marduk.
Yep. Until we hit the intro and we cut to the students seeing just how strong their opponent actually is, and that letting Clarion and them fight it out is not going to be an option, and they are going to need more help. Zatanna and the students, as you said last time, they go to see Dr. Fate in the tower to try to get some actual addition with what the fuck is going on with this. Smash cut to Hollywood as we see Eldorado Jr., Stargirl, and Wonder Girl about to go on a mission. as they cut to say, "Hey, Gar, gonna join us on this one again?" And he's just kind of like, no, still.
Then
in the past,
your turn.
We see Babylonian Clarion once again showing up, saying, "Hey, man, I have some help. You want some help to like get these people in order?" Naboo is just like, "Absolutely not. This fucking crazy witch boy. We cannot trust him. This is a terrible idea."
Oh no! Hold on. Naboo isn't here at the time. Or is he?
No, Naboo is here. We see him.
Oh, that's right. This is when he was actually born. Right. And living.
Yeah.
My bad. Keep going.
Yeah, we see when they see the Babylonian times when they showed Marduk, they showed him with his two kids, Naboo, and then the other woman whose name I don't know if I wrote down or not. But yeah, we do see the two of them, and he says, "Oh, perfect, Vandal. If your Babylonian warriors are strong, but I have an idea." And he says, "Yeah, something will bring me more order, sure." And we see him bring the Starro beast from space.
Yep, first time Starro was 7,586 years after Atlantis fell. That's when Starro appeared. But we go back to the Tower of Fate, where Dr. Fate is like, "Okay, why are you guys here? How dare you enter my sanctum? Get out."
Yeah, and then just say, "Dr. Fate, we need help. The child is way too powerful." And of course, just like they were before, Naboo, the thing says, "No, let them fight." And it's like, "No, that's not going to be an option. She's too powerful." And he says, "Well, what are you going to do? Defeat her with these little fucking students? They can't possibly, they're amateurs. They couldn't possibly do it." And she's like, "Yeah, they're ready. They can fight. They can take her on with your help." And he says, "Let's test them."
Because magic users and their silly little tests. So we find that 13 is in like this very dark space, and we see like 3 puppets. One of them is Zatanna, one of them is Blue Beetle, and I actually forget who the third one is.
Beast Boy.
Beast Boy, that's right. And it's just
we learned that Blue Beetle. What we know from last season, Blue Beetle is her boyfriend. Beast Boy is her idol, and then Zatanna is her master, her teacher. And she says like, "Oh, come on, really? A magic test to test my insecurities? How utterly cliche." And they're saying, "No," all the puppets are agreeing with her, like, "Yeah, you don't need that. Who needs a test? You're perfect." As another voice in the background says, "No, you're not. You're going to screw this up."
And of course, when we quickly... Tracy's like, "Hey, hey, okay, seriously, who's controlling the strings here? Come on, who's doing it?" Kind of thing. But then we cut to... what was the next one? Who's the next one?
Marduk in the past. No, we cut to Marduk in the past.
That's right. We don't get to the other two yet.
And he says, "Okay, it turns out that the Starro thing wasn't a good idea because Marduk has lost control of all of their armies, and they are now killing each other and killing the people." As Naboo and the daughter are trying to defend Marduk away from these Starro beasts, we see that Naboo is killed in this ensuing fight, and Order takes notice of his passing. This is when we cut back to Khalid, as we see a reflection of him studying medicine and his normal self studying magic. We learn that his mother says that you shouldn't be studying this magic. It's against their religion, and that she gave up magic when she joined Islam. But we also see his father saying that, "No, your uncle is a magic practitioner," and he says that you should be focusing on that instead of all this school stuff, and you should be focusing on becoming a great magician. And this is where we see the two aspects of Khalid's past conflicting with each other to try to figure out how to go forward. And of course, while things are getting crazy, metaphysical and religious discussion, we cut back to Gar, again, sleeping through the day, not paying attention to his friends, not participating in anything.
Literally
as
falling
we see we see the team of El Dorado, Stargirl, and Wonder Girl coming back, and they said that they were fighting someone named the Headmaster, which I'm like, "Oh, that sounds like an interesting mission. I wonder what that was about." But Gar says, "Nah, man, I'm sorry I missed it. I'm just really tired, that's all."
Meanwhile, back at the tower.
To another test.
Yep, we go to Mary's test, where we see
Mary.
Yep, we see her. We see her in a subway, and as she's in the subway, like, okay, what's going on here? We hear a little girl demanding that she say it. We turns around and we find out it's younger Mary, And he's like,
Yeah.
please, like, you should say the thing now. And, Mary's like, I can't do that. I cut back on that. And then, upset, she's like, she disappears. But then you hear her stuck in the tracks when the train's coming. Help me, And then Mary's like, uses speed of Mercury, goes over, grabs her, and saves the girl.
Yeah.
But then she says,
Not like that.
yeah, you're doing it wrong. And then, of course, trapped under rubble, help me. Strength of Hercules. No, you did it wrong. You're supposed to do it right. And if you're not going to do it, I will.
Yeah.
And little girl Mary decides to call out Shazam and actually become Sergeant Marvel. And
Hell yeah.
yeah, using the stamina of Atlas is only getting her so far when being beaten up by an empowered,
A fully powered Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course,
So you're kind of like starting actually like beating her up, throwing her around, like choke slamming her. It's a crazy cool ass fight. I love the Marvels, and any incarnation. But before that, we cut back to the Babylonians after having finally defeated the Starro Beast. We see the Babylonians worshipped Nabu in life as if he was a god. And we see that the Lords of Order agree with this, and they decide to take his soul and make him more powerful. And in fact, empower him so much that he is equal to a Lord of Order himself.
And thus they fuse his soul with the now Helmet of Fate. And in order for anyone to, and place the order, but like, you know what? You are now the super powerful Lord of Order. You're going to be contained in this helmet. Only way you can do anything is if you have a host body.
Yeah, if you are joined with a mortal soul, you can finally use these abilities. And this is where we get a nice little clip show of everyone in the past 4 seasons that has worn the helmet at any point, including Kent Nelson, Kid Flash, Zatanna. I think Aqualad.
Yeah, Aqualad at one point did, yeah. But then leading up to the final one, Zatara, who is the current holder of it now.
Yep. And this is when we cut back to Tracy's test once again.
Yep.
She's reflecting on her luck powers and her quote-unquote urban magic. And they're like, what the hell does that even mean? You're not good enough. As she's dealing with these crazy voices talking down to her. But she finally confronts them saying, come on, I deal with these voices every day of my life. I don't need your approval. I do have a loving boyfriend. My mentor, I'm part of a team that he leads. My teacher, she's telling me that I'm one of the best she has. I don't need you and I don't need your approval because I know I'm struggling with this every single day. As she's saying this, we see the reflection of her who's holding the strings of these puppets actually loses control and realizes that she's the one who's actually in the strings, and we see the actual Tracy above her as she says she is ready.
And then we go to, Khalid, who with all of this going on, he, before this scene, he started, as all of this doubt was going, the water that he was standing on started to engulf him. But as he's being engulfed, hey, Matt, help me out with the pronunciation of this. The song, the prayer that he does. The Adhan?
Yeah, it's just like the basic.
Well, no. I just wanted the pronunciation.
Oh yeah, Adhan. Yeah.
Yeah. All of a sudden, as that's as he's drowning, Khalid hears the Adhan, which is in Islamic call to prayer, and as that's happening, the water recedes, and Khalid finds peace. He's like, yes, I want to be a doctor. I also want to be a great sorcerer, so I can help people, to strengthen being a doctor, and because of my belief, my Muslim belief, I feel like this is a natural gift that God gave me. I'm a man of faith, of science, and of mysticism, so I'll find my own path forward. So I will be a doctor and a sorcerer, and I will still be strong in my faith. I'm ready for this fight. And thus, he passes.
Yeah, congratulations to Khalid. And this is when we cut to Mary continuing to get tossed and beaten up by Sergeant Marvel, as she seems not being able to use her magic properly to defeat this other aspect of herself. But as she is losing, she sees a vision of Billy Batson, who says that you relied on the power of Sergeant Marvel too much. You didn't deserve her powers. It was ruining your life. And that is why I took it back. And she says she can still do magic, and that she does not need Billy's power or the power of the Marvels to do that magic. She will continue to use the abilities gifted to her by the wizard, as she realizes that she can take these two aspects of herself, and she says that she is ready.
And of course, back in the sitting room where Dr. Fate and Zatanna were, the three students come back, and Zatanna's like, "What do you think now?" And Dr. Fate's like, "Okay, you know what? Fine. Yeah, like you've convinced me. You've legitimately convinced me. They are ready, but I'm still not gonna fight."
Yeah, still let them fight. Let the two of them work it out. Clarion and the child. Who cares?
And then we cut back to,
like, oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah, and then we cut back to Beast Boy, who is still in his bed with everything, like his entire room littered with over-the-counter, and even prescription pills. And the phone vibrates.
Yeah, he's really going through.
Yeah,
it.
he really is. And phone vibrates just off his side table. But
yeah, as he continues to ignore it.
But Naboo continues the story of the past. Matt?
Yeah, he goes on to say, it was revealed that Naboo is narrating to Zatara in their mind together. He says, "Why are you telling me what I already know?" And he says, to let them fight until one is weak enough, and then we will step in. That is the plan. And that is why you need perspective on what we're doing and why we're doing this and what our history. Zatara says, "No, you have been on teams before. You've fought with the Justice Society, with Kent Nelson. With me, you fought with the Justice League. You know that teams can help, and you know that we should join for the help, for the family, for the friends." And he says, like, you have your Lords of Order, and he says, I have my thing as well. As we see that he has Catholic faith. And he gives his speech to Naboo about, like, your history, the host you have, the reason you need a human side to talk you out of these bad decisions, like standing aside and letting these Chaos Lords destroy the planet. Clarion is finally, as they are discussing, like, no, we should help, we shouldn't, they're still discussing what they should do. We hear a knocking on the outside of the tower, and it is Clarion asking Fate for help himself.
Get over here.
Oh, that's so crazy.
Yay, get over here. Help me. I need help. And that's also when Child appears and says, "Okay, I'm done with you." And let's just say that Tikal, the anchor, is no more.
Yeah, well, we see Tikal. It's like, okay, well, you want our, like, let's have our things fight. Tikal's not as easy to kill as you think. And Tikal kind of transforms from a little cat into a large saber-toothed tiger as it kind of lunges at Flaw. Flaw kind of just grabs it by the neck and kills it. And she's like, wow, that wasn't so difficult after all. He's like, and then we see him start to fade out and return to his, like, little Chaos Diamond form. As, like, he is sent, we see him start to fly back towards the Lords of Chaos in space. And this is when she's like, okay, now let's destroy this building, as she looks onto the tower. And that is when the episode ends. But the
the post end credit scene. So twice we've told you guys about this random bus that appears out of nowhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the end.
Actually, you know what, Ben? Eagle-eared or eagle-eyed listeners may also recognize this bus from previous seasons of the show.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
But we see just exactly, we get a little glimpse inside the bus as to what's going on. And it's constantly everyone screaming while they're going through like an interdimensional,
warp
like
speed from Star
yeah,
Wars.
warp speed from Star Wars. and we're talking like everyone is screaming, and after they lose enough breath to stop screaming, they just go and then continue screaming. If you notice, as they're going through things, they actually like pass through different things. Like you see, like Cyborg's Mobius tech-infused blood vessels. You see the Source Wall. You see some DNA strands. You see a green planet, and that's it for the end credit scene. That's what we get.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the end of that. And now, oh boy, what a crazy episode with all the magic people being tested. But also between Khalid's backstory and Zatara's faith, this episode really does point out the situation with religions in the DC universe, which is a very complicated and crazy thing.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Certain religions, even outside of the DC universe, like even in today's society, can be a bit difficult to comprehend. But
no, I mean, like in DC, there are very specific aspects of both of those things that do simultaneously, like there, like I was saying in the first episode, the cosmology of the DC universe and things like afterlife and stuff like that, like, are very, it's interesting to actually think when there is provable stuff in different aspects of both. It really does, like, start a real discussion of, like, so is, like, one religion actually real in this world, or what's the continuity here, and, like, how do they actually function? Because we know from Wonder Woman that the Greek gods and the Titans and all those things exist. And we also know that the Norse gods are physical, actual beings that exist as well, but they are referred to as the old gods or whatever. And then there are beings like the Endless, which I will get into in a moment. And then there is the Lords of Chaos and Order. And of course the new gods, which are Apocalypse, the All-Father, and shit like that. Like, how do these things all actually exist? And how do people, like, keep religion and stuff like that in this world where there's, like, provable different stuff like that? It's a very, very cool subject that I did, like, a little bit of research on. It's very, very fun. But how do you think this thing functions in the DC universe, Ben?
A lot. There's a lot to take it. No, like I know you just explained everything. Obviously, well, a lot of it, I should say.
No,
but
I'm starting. Yeah.
Holy crap! Growing up, with like Justice League and stuff like that, it's like oh, haha, funny little things. And then I started watching this, and holy shit, it got super in depth, like more in depth, and to an interesting I'm just like watching this, and I'm just like, huh, interesting. Now, I mean, obviously, as I've already told you before, this is my favorite. This is my favorite arc of all of the season 4. But we're gonna wait until the end of the session for you to give me before I give my actual reasons behind it. But let's just say that right now, it's just like the depth that they took to like flesh all of this out, and for like people's faith, like legitimate faith, to kind of be like an empowering part of their magic, and like and everything like that. I kind of dig it, actually. Like, it shows a different aspect of, like, the whole religion versus magic kind of thing. Because, I mean, you know how it is in real life. Oh, can you cast magic? Yes. The devil!
Yeah, it's very, very cool. And like I said earlier, mentioned Lucifer, the show, is a DC series. Lucifer himself does exist, and other Christian angels. And also said the Stranger is also, like, various possible Judeo-Christian like beings or associated, like, characters and stuff like that from that. And so, yeah, there are, of course, as I was already alluding to, multiple afterlives in the DC universe canonically. But there's also things like the Source Wall, and there's also just like the Wall of Souls. There is an actual Hades, like Greek Hades afterlife for people. But then, like the aspect I said, the show Lucifer is based on the Sandman series from the second volume collection from Neil Gaiman, where, like I said, he just kind of like gives up the keys to hell. And then that kind of brings in the aspect like, well, what the fuck does that mean for like non-believers in the DC universe? And one of my favorite anecdotes I always bring up whenever stuff like this comes up in DC or in other like fantasy series where like there's provable gods, quote unquote, in Infinite Crisis, one of the like second, I think, Crisis series for them, there was a funeral for one of the heroes who had passed. I can't remember which one it was specifically, but it was like they were having like a religious thing, maybe a Catholic or Christian funeral in a church. And Blue Devil, who we mentioned earlier, was actually in attendance, and he was like inside the church praying, but he was actually physically burning from being inside of the church as a devil because of his like backstory and stuff.
Right.
And outside we see Mr. Terrific, who I don't know if you're familiar with the character, Ben.
Sounds familiar. I forget which one Mr. Turner.
He's that black guy with like a big red T on his face. He has like a cool black and white jacket.
Isn't he like? Isn't he like super smart and has like this really like far out technology?
Yeah, he's like I think like might be proportionally like one of the like top 2 or 3 most intelligent people in DC universe.
Yeah, okay, I do remember him vaguely.
And he's sitting outside of it, just arms crossed, saying, "This religious stuff is so fucking stupid and fake." And like literally, one of the other superheroes is like, "What the hell are you talking about? Blue devils in a church right now, burning. Isn't that like proof the existence?" And then he literally turns to the guy and says, "You know what else proves it? Superman has literally like thrown hands with the god Apollo. There are beings like Apocalypse who are like incomprehensibly powerful and live in other dimensions, and there's also magic beings and magic users that we know about as well, but they're not like, you know, creation beings, because they're just creatures or aliens or other dimensional consciousnesses that have like seemingly to us omnipotent power, but like Superman has incomprehensible power to like me and you, and like, you know, it's just what they are isn't like something to be worshipped, and like what they can do isn't something to be like in awe of, because he's just like, yeah, these things exist, but they're not, you know, they shouldn't dictate your life and stuff like that. So that was always a very interesting angle to me from like a world where like, you know, there's provable magic and shit going on. And that's why Mr. Terrific is one of my favorite characters, from that like one scene in that one comic forever ago. But then the thing following up from Lucifer having the actual hell, and like they saying how that works is because people in DC who are actually of any of those faiths and in their heart honestly believe in those tenets, if they do trespass them and actually do, you know, the bad thing or wrong things, they will go to the hell that Lucifer was in charge of at the time. And the person who, when he gives up I don't know if you read Sandman, Ben?
I have not read it, but I did try watching that Netflix show.
Okay. Did you get to the episode with Gwendolyn Christie as Lucifer?
Oh, yeah, you talking about like when they have the battle for his helmet?
Yeah.
Yes, I actually did see that.
Yeah, because like the follow-up story to that after that little bout with them is like one of the first stories in the second volume, which is where Lucifer kind of gives Dream a tour of hell, and then kind of just turns to him, gives him the keys, and says, "I'm out of here. I'm done with this. Bye." And so suddenly a bunch of other like afterlife figures, including Lords of Chaos, Lords of Order, Egyptian afterlife beings, hell, I think even Odin himself, a couple of people show up saying like, "Yo, the Judeo-Christian afterlife of hell is one of the like best sources for souls, and like we would love to have that kind of power. Dream, give us the key." And they'll give us the key, and it's a really, really fantastic story about them trying to like get these keys to that hell.
Lucifer just on Earth, like, yeah, I'm gonna be a detective. Meanwhile, in literal hell, Dream's just like, "No, my keys," and everyone is like, "Nah, give me the keys. Come on, buddy, be a sport, be a pal." No. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's a really, really fantastic story. And there's there's another aspect I'll go into after our next episode, because we do once again, like I said, this episode I have a lot. This whole arc I have a lot to talk about, but we'll get more into that story and how it plays out after the next episode.
Absolutely.
So, are you ready for episode 12?
Season 4. Episode 12.
12.
Octro. We start this episode off with Zatara narrating this time. At the age of 28, he was a stage magician. He had his wife Cinderella and his 2-year-old daughter Zatanna. And his acts were always a success. They were always great, And in part of him, occasionally using his real magic. Well, one night, like as he's doing his act, the stage legitimately caught on fire, and Zatara was, frightened, and everyone was frightened, and Zatara had to use real magic to put out the flames in front of everyone. Now, everyone, being like normal people, they cheered, they applauded, they thought it was all part of the act. And, Zatara's like, ta-da! Oh my gosh, this is going to be a new beginning for me, isn't it? And meanwhile, and also in the audience, we actually see a smiling Kent Nelson.
Kent Nelson. I was gonna say we also it's narrating it is Zatara narrating this.
That's why I said at the beginning.
For him.
Yeah, I said Zatara was the narrator.
And so we hit the intro.
Yep.
Yeah, we hit the intro.
Meanwhile, in Salem.
And we come back to Clarion. Yep, we see Clarion seeing Tikal die once again. And he flickers out, turns into the diamond, and then floats off into space as the child begins to destroy the tower.
Yep, and of course, Clarion being like, nope, I'm not here. And, the entire tower is in embers. It explodes. Zatanna casts, protection as the tower is destroyed. And, of course, Child looks at the ruins like, meh, okay, let's cause some more chaos. And then all of a sudden, they all, they survived. And Mary's like, oh, I can't use my powers here because, the ley lines are disrupted. It's like, as she's trying to help everyone, since she can't use the ley lines, she decides to draw power from the next best thing. Her friend.
Wait. Before that, Dr. Fate jumps up saying, like, you're a child, I'll destroy you. And then Flaw kind of just beats the shit out of Dr. Fate. And the child also seems to be completely overpowering him. And she's like, well, that's the end of that. And yeah, she continues to go on destroying it. And then, yeah, Mary's the one who's just like, I can't use my powers properly. And then turns to her fellow students and then begins to drain them.
Yep, and then starts to use the power of Zeus to shoot lightning. But Child literally, leaves and it misses. And,
She's still no match for the child.
Yep.
Yeah. And this is when we cut to Space Trek, Episode 16, Take 16, Scene 16. As we see the ship is being flung all over the place, and all of the other actors are like, oh, they were really being hit by it. And Gar, who's another we know as a character on the show, it's kind of emotionlessly Captain, I guess we need to put up the shields, or whatever. He's completely not reacting to the emotion they're supposed to be doing. He's reading his lines badly. He's really ruining the take.
And
everyone, including the director, is just like, what the fuck is going on? This guy sucks.
Yeah, well, no. The director was like, come on. J. Anson Schwartz.
Yeah.
But he goes up and he's like, Gar, buddy, pal, come on. It's 3 a.m. We're all on overtime. Can we try to make this right, buddy? Please? Come on. And of course, like, yeah, take 17, flubs his lines again. It's just like, oh my gosh. Meanwhile, with Clarion, he's going through time and space in his true form, and he's like, you know what? I need a hero. I'm looking out for a hero. He's got to be strong, he's got to be fast, and he's got to be fresh in the fight. So he vanishes into a portal, and we go back to Metropolis, back when one of the bridges in Metropolis was getting.
I think it might be the 3rd or 4th episode early on in the show.
Something it's something of the sort, because they're getting attacked by giant plants, and super.
Oh yeah, that's the Injustice episode.
Yeah. And then Superman is saving the day, and Connor, Superboy, back when he was early him, back when Superman was kind of of him, goes to rescue, and he's like, oh, sorry, duty calls, gotta go, bye. And Superboy's just like, I had it, runs away, and everyone's like, yeah, Superman did it. Clarion comes above and looks down at the bus. He's like, this'll do. Controls the bus.
He says, yeah. He looks at it. He says, yeah, this motorcycle will be my new anchor. As he goes into the bus.
This motorcycle will be my new anchor. Oh wait, no, he doesn't have that, because he has this tendency of always messing up, and Tico's always there to be like, meh. Yes, they know what I mean. But now he doesn't have that.
Yeah, as he goes into it, his eyes appear on the inside, and his face on the screens, and he says, "Hey, I'm taking your stupid skateboard as my new anchor, and you're all trapped with me."
And the bus driver, Charlie, is just like, "It's a bus," and Clarion's like, "God, you know what I mean." Wait a minute, you remind me of someone. Well, anyway, starts teleporting. But then we cut back to Zatara.
Back in the past. Yep.
I'll let you do.
He is narrating as we see that he sees on the TV Superman saving people's lives, and he realizes that he wants to be a hero as well and actually help people with his magic. We see him praying for guidance at a church, and he says that it made him come to the realization that he can be a superhero magician and he can actually help save people. This is when he is visited by Kent Nelson. We see that Zatanna saves Fate, her dad, and now we see like Zatanna in the present saves Dr. Fate, and she says like, "Oh, I needed to save you. You know, my dad's in there too. Don't you understand now that why we needed help in the first place? But this is too strong of a fight."
And Fate finally,
when, like, everyone is kind of
Fate finally is just like, you know what? You're right. I might need some help. And then of course,
this might be a little bit too much.
and Khalid and Tracy confront Mary, and they're like, "Did you just take our power and like weakened us?" And Mary's like, "Look, you guys were the only ones there. It was the only way I could have like saved us because all the ley lines are messed up. And I mean, if not for me, you guys would have died." And they're like, "All right, but look,
next time get permission.
You need permission next time."
And this is when they kind of turn to Dr. Fate and say, "Hey, okay, so the hunt is on, but can't you ask the Lords of Order for a boost like she has?" And he's just like, "No, that's not how they work." As they continue to try to work on their own power. And this is when we cut back to the Space Trek set. The director, again, kind of like softly chastises Gar, saying, "Hey, man, I know your friend Connor passed, and I know you're going through a lot right now. Do you like need some help, some counseling? We can get some like on-set counseling for you." And he's like, "No, man, I'm perfectly fine. Don't worry about it." He's like, "Okay, well, I think you need to take a break from the show for the time being because things looks like a little rough out there." He's like, "No, but the show needs me." He's like, "Well, actually, this side character, we've been really building him up for the past couple of episodes, so I think they could, he's a fan favorite, so you can probably cover for you while take some time to yourself." And he's just like, "Gee, thanks, I guess." He's kind of like upset about being replaced on the show, but not too upset because he's still going through what he's going through.
Meanwhile, in the past, Zatara talks about how Kent Nelson offers some guidance, to work on this new calling, and of course, like you see, like as he's talking about the past, you see other magic users like Wotan, Blackbriar, Thorn, and even Felix Faust himself. But
Felix Faust.
But as with the guidance of Kent Nelson, and as he was starting to help out a little bit, this whole dual career thing was costing him like family time, and as he can't get to step in and be part of the family, but Zatara really felt hurt about this. But so of course he prayed for guidance, and he came to the conclusion that it was a necessary sacrifice, and everything was going well until his wife was definitely not doing okay. She got stricken with cancer, and so he tried to be there for her and for the daughter, but it was becoming very difficult to pay medical bills, and he still had to defend the world and all that stuff. So he while he was away saving the world in a city somewhere in a hotel, Kent knocked on the door and gave the bad news.
This is when you finally see we get more of the backstory on his situation. But then we cut back to the present, and we see that Fate and the students are in Australia, and they see that a huge volcano has just exploded in the middle of Sydney, as the chaos powers are beginning to go completely out of control. And we see that this is her goal. These pillars of fire are her main source of power, what the child is doing. Then we see the stranger appear once again, and he says that we can recruit some heroes, we can teleport them here, they can help with the people in Australia because we are needed elsewhere as this chaos magic is spreading across the entire globe.
And he explained, he explains as we cut to New Orleans, it's like we have Madame Xanadu predicting things as they're happening. I spoke to like some heroes, like for instance, you see like Red Tornado and Terra working like arriving in Sydney. Back at the Pacific coast, you see they got everything under control, and of course Zatanna's like
they need to track where the child
is. And he's like, so we can do this. You need to follow the child. And Zatanna was reluctant, but she's like, okay, fine. So they go to the next area. But before we do that, we go.
More shenanigans with Clarion and a skateboard.
Yep. Clarion in the moped. As we go to one of the previous episodes where Bowhunter Security SUV is getting chased. It's getting chased, and of course Clarion sees this and is like, no, this is the wrong heroes. Disappears. Meanwhile, in Star City, where this is the giant plants.
Again,
my
during the
apologies.
plants attack.
Yeah.
Another one was like an early episode before the Injustice Society.
Right.
Episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is another one where we see the bus pop up, and there's I think Black Canary and Green Arrow start like
Black Canary, Green Arrow, and also Red Arrow at the time. And of course the bus starts to fall, but Guy friggin' Gardner catches it with a baseball mitt kind of thing, and of course he's like, no, Clarion's like, no, this isn't the right heroes either. Bus disappears.
Yep. Back, and we see that another city's gravity is going crazy, where like all kinds of stuff is floating in the air. They continue to travel between cities, seeing all the aspects of chaos that are affecting them. And we also see that Atlantis is also under attack, between like crazy earthquakes and like giant magic going crazy. And also now we see demon portals opening up in the middle of some areas.
Yeah.
We also go to a Middle Eastern country at one point, and we see that it is freezing over, with people literally being frozen in giant blocks of ice.
That's much later. That's much later, my dude. Like right now,
we see that.
Like right now, after like the plants and everything, we go to Manhattan, where like Fates.
I meant with the team, the current team going through that.
Well, right. We cut to them like where we see Wonder in Manhattan. Where we see Wonder Girl, Troya, and Wonder Woman helping people like caught in the area, and apparently they recruited a villain, also known as the Wizard, to help. The Wizard,
yeah,
like to help with the Pillar of Fire, and then we cut to Metropolis, where we get a little bit of shenaniganery with the bus, because we see Saturn Girl, Chameleon Boy, and Phantom Girl outside of Bibbo's, and they just managed to jump out of the way of the frickin' bus as it's teleporting from one to the other.
Yeah, as we do see
we go to Poseidonus.
Apocalypse.
We go to Poseidonus, where that's where we see Mara and everyone doing what they can. Okay, so kids, there's a lot of cuts. There's a lot of cuts in this going on.
Yeah, that's why I just said Atlantis and demon portals and freezing.
Yeah, and then of course the bus is like in Dakota City, where everyone's still screaming, and Rocket uses a force bubble to lift the bus back on the bridge, and Clarion's just like, this can't be the ones. These aren't the right ones. And of course just there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
But between the chaos and between Clarion going through different aspects, different hero groups, like I said, eventually we do see the bus traveling through Apocalypse and the Phantom Zone for a second, which is also crazy. Sorry, a zone we don't know what is the Phantom Zone yet.
Yeah, we through somewhere. And, back in Harlem...
Eventually we cut to... Yeah. I was saying eventually we cut to Vandal Savage on World, but we were about saying which one was Harlem. Harlem was the demons?
Yes. Harlem was the demons.
Okay. Yeah, they just stopped there for like a second, see a bunch of demons crawling out of a portal, and then just go on their way to the next place.
But wait, no. But wait, as that happens in Harlem, Bus appears, Clarion, those are the guys! Yes, they actually meet in Harlem. So it's like, hey, you numbskulls, I need your help. Now.
Oh no! Wait, no! They don't find him.
Oh,
that's
no! That's right. They leave.
Later.
They leave, and
you're way later.
Yeah, no, you're right. I forgot. It does sort of happen, but it's just like they leave. Clarion appears, and he's like, "Darn it! I was just a little off." Meanwhile, on War World, Vandal is just like observing everything, seeing all of these, and then we cut back to
getting worse and worse.
Then we cut back to the past. Okay, hold on a second. Take a breather for a second because. Holy crap, that was way much shenaniganery happening. Whew!
Yeah, it was a cool clip show of like the different shit happening all over the planet. But we see Zatara finally joining the Justice League as a superhero magician. And then we also see his family life is continuing as we meet Khalid, Kent's nephew, which means that the the mom who gave up magic when she joined Islam is Kent Nelson's daughter from last episode, which is an interesting little aspect.
That is, yeah.
And we see that Khalid's becoming more and more of a family member to him as well. And then we eventually like flash forward as like the superheroes become like as Zatanna trains to be a superhero, and then up to the point where Zatara eventually puts on the helmet of fate.
Yep, to save his
And
daughter.
this is when
Cut back to
and this is when Hollywood with the shooting on the set of Space Trek. Gar leaving the set as we see the Clamulon officer just like completely crushing it and being a great actor and everybody loving him and saying, "Yeah, we got the scene. Let's keep going." Like Gar's just kind of like upsetly like leaving. He's like, "Okay, I guess they don't need me anymore."
Meanwhile,
the students
at the North
finally
Pole.
find the child in the North Pole. Yep. Yeah. And they put their powers all into Fate as he tries to blast her with a beam. They put all their powers into him, but it is still not enough, and Fate is frozen solid. And then we see that she is going to kill every single person on the Earth.
Dun,
and
dun,
this is when
dun.
Clarion finally meets up with them on the bus, saying like, "Hey, I finally found you guys. Come on." And we see that
inside the helmet of fate, Naboo.
we reveal the narrator.
Yeah, Naboo looks at the narrator, aka Zatara, is like, "Okay, why are you telling me things that I don't need to know?" And then Zatara's just like, "Look, my body's not going to hold forever. And, you got to be able to chronicle your host's legacies. You know that, right?" Naboo's like, "It's not my responsibility." And Zatara's like, "It is your responsibility. Especially if you are going to keep me as a hostage." And of course Naboo's just like, "Very well, if it becomes necessary, I guess I will." And of course Zatara's like, "Look, I'm going to be honest with you. Yes, it is going to be necessary because I can't let my daughter die, and I know that my body is definitely like losing life force right now. And with this battle coming up, I'm probably not going to survive it." And thus, we get the ending credit scene. What's the ending credit scene?
Yeah, we see the League helping out the frozen people in that Middle Eastern country. And we also say, like, yeah, this is too big of a threat. And, like, you guys were right to recruit people like the Wizard and other villains. Because we're going to need all the help we can get to deal with this insanely mounting threat.
Yeah, don't they say something about, like, hiring, like, a different group? Like, creating a new group?
I think... Yeah, creating a new group was like, like utilizing the villains like the Wizard and other things to all the magic people they can who can like possibly help with the situation. Yeah. But I didn't get to see the full credit sequence.
Yeah,
just like saying like they're helping people recover. But yeah, that is the end of episode 12. Oh boy.
Oh, there was a lot.
Another fun one. Crazy jumping around nonsense. Space Trek. Of course, as you know, between did you watch how many different Star Trek series have you seen?
I have literally watched and this was way back when when Chris and I were living in Medina. I watched the entire OG series, not including the movies. That was no pun intended. That was a trek and a half. I said I literally did not mean the pun.
I know,
but
still there.
But I've seen. At one point in my life, I've seen all of the William Shatner Star Trek movies. I was starting to try Generations, the one with Jean-Luc Picard. But
Did you watch that before Next Generation? You mean
that is the Next Generation? Oh no,
There's this movie called Generations.
No. Yeah, Next Generation, the movie was the last one of the William Shatner ones I watched. Okay. Because I knew that was like the transition.
That's technically a crossover movie, so yeah.
That was like the transition into Generations. But then
Next Generation. The show was Next Generation. The movie was Generations.
I swear they both have the same name, to be honest. But anyway,
the Next Generation.
Point being, bottom line, I did watch that as my last like William Shatner one, and then I started watching Next Generation, and I never actually I never even got past like the third episode or whatever. But I did also watch the first two of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies. The one where Chris Pines is Kirk.
Oh yeah, he's wonderful.
Those two were surprisingly not bad, and Into Darkness was the first time. And by the way, I'll explain this phenomenon that some people have done. Was the first time I looked at Benedict Cumberbatch and said, "Huh, this guy's actually a good actor."
Really?
Well,
That he was already. But do you not see Sherlock and shit?
They never held my fancy, and here, I will admit this, even though I don't want to, but I will admit, back in the past, I was one of those kind of people where everyone being like, "Oh my God, so and so is so hot, is so awesome," I would be that person who'd be like, "Well, now I just don't like you because you're just hyped up." Because in my head they were so super hyped up. But like this whole phenomenon, kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio. I watched Titanic when I was younger. I watched Titanic and I'm like, wow, Leo did not do a good job in this movie. I think he's a horrible actor.
Crazy.
But then, the weirdest movie made me realize that, Leonardo DiCaprio is actually a really good actor. And I say the weirdest movie because I bet you're going to look at me and be like, really, Ben? That movie? Not this movie, this movie, this movie? The movie that actually got me to re-like Leonardo DiCaprio was The Great Gatsby, actually.
I like that movie because Baz Luhrmann's my fuck. If you see the Elvis movie, he's like a fucking insane director. I love all of his crazy
Wait, was
stuff.
that the same guy?
He's great. I believe so.
Huh. But yeah, no, I
hated that book and I love that movie.
Well,
I hated the book. I loved the movie.
Yeah, honestly, I tried reading the book because I think I own the book, and I tried going through it, and I'm like, oh, this is horrible. It's a good thing I watched the movie.
Yeah, the movie's great.
But that was that's when I looked and I'm like, okay, Leo's actually a good actor. It's just whatever happened, whatever direction he was taken in. But that was younger me. I do want to rewatch the Titanic and see if I have a different mindset. Being older, knowing more about things and stuff like that. Of course.
But besides the two for the J.J. Abrams movies and the original series, you didn't watch Voyager or Discovery or Deep Space Nine?
None of the above, actually.
Oh my goodness. Crazy. I love Voyager, even though it's one of the more disliked ones, because Janeway is such a... the whole meme is that Captain Janeway, the first female captain and a lead in the show, is a crazy psychopath.
Wow.
She's the fucking most fuck it weeball ass captain that there's ever been. They don't like her because compared to Kirk and Picard and even Cisco from Deep Space Nine, who are all very calm and analytical people, she's very much fuck it, let's fucking kill him. Who cares?
So what you're saying is Jean-Luc Picard and Captain Kirk, and who was the one from Deep Space Nine? Did you say?
Captain Cisco.
Cisco are characters that Kaylee or Tara or Chris or myself would create, and then this female one is just a character you create in D&D.
Please, Captain Janeway, she's the best.
Yeah, Captain Janeway is just a character you would create in D&D.
She's the best. She doesn't give a shit. She'll do anything. But yeah, that series is very fun. Of course, 7 of 9 is fucking fantastic in the show. The Borg who's turned back into a human semi. But yeah, I'm surprised you don't watch more Star Trek stuff.
Dude, I kind of got...
Even me, who's the biggest Star Wars mark on the planet, I still I like a lot of aspects of Star Trek.
Like I said, watching all of the William Shatner Star Trek, yes, it looks at the audience. Yes, even the animated series that barely anyone knows about. Mm-hmm. It was a lot, my dude. That's like you looking me in the face and saying, "Hey Ben, let's watch every single episode and movie of One Piece right now."
Well, that'd just be a treat. One Piece is the best. Anyway, besides that, I'm surprised you don't much. I'm just more surprised because it feels like a big reality, but I guess it's a different vibe. The other thing I wanted to talk about was DC magic using villains. This show covered a couple of them, and I really do like. And I was thinking between the rogues galleries of all DC characters, There's two people who come to mind in terms of having a shit ton of magic users, and that would be Wonder Woman and Shazam.
Yes and yes, because with
their rogues galleries are all massive amount of magic users.
Well, yeah, especially with Wonder Woman, it's kind of easy, and I say kind of because obviously it's DC. When does anything just super simple? But with Wonder Woman, you could pretty much just name a Greek character, and that could either be a hero or a rogues gallery of Wonder Woman.
I'm pretty sure they're like all her rogues, pretty much. Like,
well, I mean,
Apollo hates her, Artemis hates her, Zeus hates her, Ares hates her, Hades hates her.
I mean,
and then of course all their underlings and children hate her too.
Yeah. So like that with that one. But then there's Shazam. Yeah, sure. Wisdom of Solomon. Speed of Mercury and stuff like that. But it's like that rogues gallery, except for the first movie, which I only watched once, and I forget what was going on.
Oh, well, that's an aspect I was going to bring up, because the villain in that is Dr. Savannah, who in literally every Shazam thing is a scientist, a super scientist who can just make and build and do anything. That movie, they made him like a weird asshole obsessed with getting magic powers, and he's like a wizard who has magic powers equal to Shazam the whole movie, which is not at all how Dr. Savannah's supposed to work, but they turned him into another magic user like the others. And I was it was a very weird choice, but his rogues gallery. Remember the whole demons of the 7 deadly sin demons that he fights, and honestly, if you do look at most of the besides the Monster Society of Monsters, Mr. Mind, who I absolutely love, and I'm pissed as hell didn't get any. Did you see?
Wait a minute.
You didn't see the second Shazam, did
you?
Yeah.
Because I've only seen the first Shazam, Mr. Mind. Mm-hmm. Mr. Mind. Was that weird fucking caterpillar?
Yeah. The one I would have in theaters when they're freaking out and screaming and pointing. It's kind of ah. Also, dude, didn't you read New 52?
You know how long?
No, not New 52. The original 52.
You mean the one that you let me borrow? Yeah. That I read once, gave back to you, and probably have forgotten just about everything about?
You forgot that the end of that thing was Mr. Mind finally becoming into his final form, which is a multiverse-destroying gigantic butterfly monster that was manipulating everyone the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
All about Mr. Mind.
Oh, yeah. No. I do remember the giant, multiverse-eating butterfly. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Mr. Mind.
Yeah. But what are you talking? Look, the only Mr. I know that's not Mr. Mime is
Mr. Mind.
No. Listen, you didn't hear me. You didn't hear me.
Okay.
I said the only Mr. I know that is a villain who is not named Mr. Mime, mind you.
Hmm?
Here's a name drop for all of you that doesn't care about any of Matt's campaigns from for D&D. Mr. Brainwash.
Mr. Brainwash. Even that's a reference to a real thing. Mr. Brainwash is great. I was gonna say, for Wonder Woman, there's Cersei, the Enchantress. Felix Faust is actually her villain.
Oh, Felix Faust is actually for a Wonder Woman rogues gallery.
Yeah, he's a Wonder Woman specific villain.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would say, and besides like I said, with Shazam's lineup, besides the 7 deadly sin demons, they fight the Marvel family, besides Dr. Savannah and his creations, they fight a large amount of biblical demons for some reason. Did you see Black Adam yet?
No.
Okay. Well, spoiler alert, the end of Black Adam is a man who uses similar powers to the Wizard and Black Adam and Shazam to get 7 demons' powers, and his name is Sabak. And each letter is a different demon, just like how Shazam and Black Adams are different aspects of either Egyptian or Greek mythology. And it's 7 different demons give him his name, or what is it? How many letters is in his name? 6. It's 6. 6 demons give him his powers, and he's a giant red dude with a big ass fucking upside down pentagram and giant. It's a really cool design. Definitely check out that movie if you can. But yeah, they fight a lot of crazy ass, weird, freaky ass demons in the Captain Marvel family. It's really cool. And also, so that's that. We've already spent way too much between episodes again. But the one thing I wanted to talk about again, following with our thing between Lucifer. Leaving Hell, giving the keys to Dream, and the Lords of Chaos, Lords of Order, Egyptian gods, Norse gods, Greek gods, everybody, including some other people, trying to get the key from him. Remember that, Ben?
Yeah, I remember the conversation we had. Yes.
Of course. Well, I mean, during this story, which I think was written in either the 80s or the 90s, the Lords of Chaos, the representative they send, is a little blonde girl, Lord of Chaos. That sound familiar, Ben?
No, it doesn't. Please elaborate.
Yeah, not at all. She goes by Shivering Jemmy. She goes by the Princess of Chaos. She goes by a bunch of many names. One of them, who knows, could even be the Child.
What?
But we'll get more into that at the end of this arc.
The final episode of this arc. Episode 13. Kerb im Try.
Try.
What do we start with, Matt?
Yeah, we start in Australia as the Savage is met by... we start by in Australia where it's a stranger is met by Savage. The names are too similar to me.
By the way, the stranger's the narrator this time.
Savage. Yep. We see that they're talking and they discuss that they will need each other's help for what is coming. And as a quick hit to the intro.
And then we go back to the North Pole. Yeah, we're at the North Pole where Clary is just like, oh my goodness, it's you guys. You're the heroes I needed. And I need your help. And Dr. Fate's like, dude, no, absolutely not.
Yeah. We see, Clarion's like on the bus talking to the students, and they're like, hey, we finally stopped, let's all get off. And then they look out, they see Fate's giant, evil, like, magic, crazy looking self, and they get back on the bus terrified. And then Clarion's like, okay, yeah, the thing is, I need your help, I can't take her on myself, this shit's crazy. Get in the bus, and everyone does, and then they begin to travel again through time and space again.
Yeah, wait,
first, you get a quick shot.
I need an anchor.
Yeah?
We're going to find me an anchor first. A better anchor.
Yeah, this motorcycle's not working.
Yeah, not this tricycle, please. As they leave, we see Isis and Ice emerge.
Yeah, a really fun. Just something talking about Black Adam with Isis. It's really fucking cool seeing her back. We see Gar once again just sitting around, big bags under his eyes, sitting around the house not doing shit. As we see Princess, is it Queen Perdita now?
It's Queen now. Yeah.
Yeah, Queen Perdita comes to see him, and he's like, "Whoa, what the heck?" He's like, hey, what the heck are you doing here? She's like, hey, Garfield, my boyfriend, I brought you the vegan burger from the place. I'm so glad to see you. And he's kind of just really weirdly distant to her still. As that situation continues, we come back to Clarion and Fate saying that they need to find a new cat for him. The bus begins to travel it's like they say he's been stuck on the bus for 10 years. But to the people on the bus, it feels like it's been a couple of hours.
Yep. And of course, Mary is just like,
yeah.
Mary's like, can we really trust this guy? I mean, it's Clarion. And Zatanna's like, look, we can't trust him. We can't trust him. But right now we have no choice. Every time they start talking, Clarion's just like, I can hear you. I'm the bus. I can literally hear you. Why are you saying this in front of me?
You guys are literally inside of me.
And then as all that happens, they reach their destination. They're in Salem.
Yep, at the old Salem Animal Shelter.
Aren't they like back in the past too?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I don't see what specific time, but they just
it's like ancient old Salem. But meanwhile, the stranger continues his story, explaining that with him talking to Vandal Savage, Savage is like, hey, I needed to discuss something with the Lords of Order and Chaos, and I know you can get me there. Reluctantly, the stranger actually does. Say, okay, you know what? Let's go. And so they actually go in front of the Lords of Chaos and Order. The strangers...
Yeah, they're actually in front of the two beings in the weird cosmos space realm.
And cool. Vandal Savage starts, telling them, hey, look, I get it. You guys do this whole order thing, this whole balancing act. And yes, I have allied with Clarion and, with Dr. Fate, but right now, things are upsetting the balance. Child is upsetting the balance. And look, I know. I mean, look, we need to stop. You need to stop backing the child. We need to have this balance.
Yeah, he explains that I am the progenitor of their champion and I am the ally of the Chaos Champion. My goals may be to end in order, but the opposite is what I'm against, and that is Darkseid, who seeks to destroy like the order and balance and like the order and chaos together, and there will be no need for either of them once he is in complete control because he will unleash the anti-life equation, revealing ultimate order is what Darkseid's is, and so that would ruin chaos. And he says like that's why we need to work together as they are fighting for Earth.
Meanwhile, back at the shelter.
Back to the shelter. what opposite stakes?
Meanwhile,
Clarion adopting a pet and the balance of the universe.
So Zatanna's like, they're like, wait, really? We need to go in here, and Clarion's like, look, I want a cat. Give me a cat. And so everyone
going through different cats as Tracy 13 and Mary and Khalid are bringing out cats and this one. He's like, no, they're all terrible.
No, none of these are good. All of a sudden, we see one kitten, a stray, outside, just rubbing against the tire, and Khalid picks up the cat. And is like, and Clarion's like, that's the one, that's the cat. Okay, I need to come up with a name.
Like,
something
hey,
totally.
He's like, that's a stupid.
That's
name.
a stupid name. That's not original. New cat, new name. You know what? I came up with the perfectly most original name ever. I'm gonna call you Tickle. And like Mary goes to say something, and Zatanna's like, "Don't, just don't."
Yeah,
just don't. And of course, after that, he leaves the bus. Goes through Tickle and has his physical form again. And of course, he's like, all right, let's go. And Zatanna's like, okay, I need you guys to stay here, and I promise we're gonna get you home. In the meantime, just sit here and wait in Old Salem.
Yep. As the team goes back to Fate's Tower, and Clarion begins to do the same sigil that the child did for him in the first episode.
I love this. I love this because it makes the circle and everything, and it's like, say it, Tickle. Tickle is like, wow, that was weak. Maybe you should get Tickle to meow stronger. And it's like, look, don't be mean to my kitten. Creates a freaking megaphone. Just needs a little boost is all, and it goes from meow to like meow.
Yeah, a huge giant wave that summons the child.
Yep, the child and Flaw are there.
Yep, as they begin to escalate, of course, as always, we cut back to Gar and Perdita. They are having a very awkward situation with her kind of sitting in his room and him kind of just like still being incredibly distant to her. And she's saying, hey, I haven't talked to you since before I left, and, what's going on with you? And she's like, hey, I didn't ask you to talk to me. I want to be alone. And he's just, like, continuing to push everybody in his life away from him, and it's just incredibly difficult. And, like, Perdita saying, like, what the hell is wrong with you, Gar? I can't watch you destroy yourself like this. You need help.
Well, no, not yet. This is just...
They
go to the room, and, they're just, she's like, look, I know you're missing Connor, I know something about loss. And, Gar's just being a little distant and whatever. But then we go back to the tower where, more destruction happens.
Yeah, as the students are invisibly sneaking around the base, and they are having Mary absorbing the power from the child, but it's still not enough, and she's still beating Clarion pretty handily. This is when we see Vandal continue his speech to the lords of both chaos and order. No, I didn't like. This is when he specifically mentions the anti-life equation.
Right, but yeah, because after Vandal stated his case, the lords of order and chaos are like, okay, look, you did this to yourself. Anything that's happening right now, this is your fault. And of course, this is when Savage, like Matt just said, like gets a little specific. He's like, look, we need to stop Darkseid. The anti-life equation is going to consume everything if he wins, which means chaos is going to be ended and order is going to be moot. that means there is no balance whatsoever. There's not going to be any balance. And what so if you like so without like if you don't have me helping like this, then nothing's going to get done. You guys are going to be literally dead in a while. Remove the stop backing the child. Let the child bring the child away from this equation and let's have the world continue on as it is. Because what is chaos without order, and vice versa? The Lords of Order are like, okay, you know what? I agree with this. The Lords of Chaos are like, okay, we will not support the child, but we're not going to remove her. Let them sort this out. And Vandal is very satisfied with this, where we see, back at the tower, the child has the big old chaos pillar, and it disappears, and we see her start to swoon, and meow, yeah, I feel it too. Someone's losing their powers, and the child just rolls her eyes and is like, I can still beat you. You know that, right?
Yeah, I'm still stronger than you, so I can still take you out. This is when they continue their fight, and Mary begins to drain power from everyone in the party, and not just the child. And this is when we cut back again to Perdita seeing Gar is like, hey, so you're not fighting with the team anymore, you're not on your show anymore, you're not talking to me anymore, so are we on a break like you are from the team and are from the show? And he's kind of just like, I don't know, I didn't ask you to come here. And this is when she sees his shit ton of pills and shit by his desk. And she's like, what the hell is this? What are you doing to yourself? And he says, hey, I don't need your help. I don't need anybody. Why don't you just get out of here? Leave me alone. And she's kind of just like, I can't watch you destroy yourself. As she's also now given up on helping Gar.
Yep, and she leaves.
Situation. Yep. This is when we see, back with the team, as they're stopped getting their powers drained from by Mary for a moment, Tracy says, hey, wait, there's a crack and flaw. Finally, someone noticed it. And if it's struck, we can probably take him out. As they begin to they begin to aim for that with all of their powers and all their abilities, and they do actually finally manage.
Well, no, she notices she notices the crack, and it wasn't everyone that did it, because that's when Tracy walks up and she's like, "Hey, you're so big and strong, with only one little crack there. Would be a shame if it snaps her fingers and casts a spell on it. Got worse." And it did. And he shattered.
Yeah.
And the child leaves because, without an ankle, an anchor.
Her anchor is destroyed.
Yep. So after that happens, and of course we get Clarion like, hey, that was nice. Not. I'm out of here. Smell you later. Leaves. And, Zatanna goes over to Khalid and Tracy and is like, hey, you guys did a good job. And even Fate was like, wow, yeah, you have really good students.
Yeah, Fate thanks the team. Zatanna says, you guys did an amazing job, but we need to talk.
Yep. And so later on, Fate and Mary are putting out flames from the fire, from the whole fire rain thingy that happened. And, as Zatanna's talking to Tracy and Khalid, they turns and tries to get it's like, hey Mary, we need to talk. Tracy and Khalid are kind of like, ugh. And then after a moment of silence, you just hear Mary upset. And it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, she screams at Zatanna why wouldn't you choose me? Just very upset about the situation. Something going on between the three of them. And this is when they finally, Fate says, or doesn't she say why don't you ask what he thinks about this?
Well, yeah, because she's like,
Fate comes over.
Yeah, it's like,
what are you talking about?
Yeah, what is this? And Zatanna tries to avoid it like she usually does, and it's like, you're too attracted with power. You can't this can't this can't go on. It's like, go ahead, go ahead. Stop avoiding it. Tell us the plan. And so, as you were saying.
Yeah, Zatanna says that she thinks that Fate obviously needs a human host. but whoever the host is also drained and tired, and it's a full aspect of their life taken away from them. Her idea is to have the helm rotate between herself, Zatara, Tracy, and Khalid. And then the helm says, well, not Mary as well. And she says, no, she still needs time, and she's not in complete control of her aspects and powers just yet.
And that's when Mary's like, you know what? Just take me home. Fine, Fawcett City, right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go home right now. I'm done. I'm out of here. Zatara is. They say, okay, they get ready to send her home, but as they say, well, there's one more person we need to discuss on who at this point is going to be okay, because Naboo the helm is in on it, and everyone else seems to be. But he takes the helmet off and reveals Zatara, her father. He says, absolutely not. This is a horrible thing. This is a horrible burden. You should not put this onto anybody. And she says, no, if we rotate this, we can at least have time together. It's, disperses the power, and it gives him different aspects and lets him learn more about humanity. And it will make the helmet less of a burden for everybody. And she does eventually convince Zatara. But then this is when Khalid pulls her to the side and says, like, hey, I want to talk with you because there's a really underlying possible dark situation with this. Did you choose us three as your students just hoping that we would do this and say so you can be with your father again? So are you using us so you can be with your dad? Without answering, Zatanna goes back over to Tracy and says, hey, I want you to know that you don't need to do this if you don't want to. And Khalid, you're not required to do this either. I'm not using you guys. This is just an option. I did not form this all the way back when I said you guys are my best students. I just don't want you thinking that. And this is when Tracy says, no, I'm fine with this as well.
Yeah, Khalid at the beginning was like, look, I'm totally on board with this, but I need you to level with me kind of thing. So, and of course, Khalid is like, you know what? I'll go first. I'll be the first one to do it. To don the helmet. So Zatara removes the helmet, hands it to him, and Khalid now dons the helmet of fate.
Yep. And as they begin to go over the plan and other going forward, the stranger is narrating to Naboo now. But they do not want to thank the savage because he doesn't want to they don't want to get too big of a head on what the hell he actually accomplished here. We see Fate and Zatanna finally going back and rescuing that goddamn bus and gives them the card for Black Canary's counseling and therapy sessions, since she is a professional therapist to help with this insane thing that they've been going through for these hours and all this insane journey. And then this is when they talk about it. They end the show as they see that the bus, Zatanna's ghost. Or sorry, I'm fucking freaking out. My notes are all fucked up.
Well, yeah. Because first
they traveled with the bus back to where it's been, and they go through the Phantom Zone, and they say that, hey, while we were traveling, I think I saw Connor's fucking ghost, and he was not at rest, because she touches the bus to get all of its memories of all the places it's been for the past couple of years. That's what I couldn't. That's what my notes are fucking.
All right, yeah.
She saw the memories of the bus and saw where it had been, and saw that it went through the Phantom Zone and saw it went somewhere, saw Connor's ghost, and it seemed upset.
Dun dun dun. Then we get to the end credit scene. Yeah, the end credit scene is very interesting in this one because we start off on the watchtower where a Black Canary is having a therapy session with Zatara, and she updates him on what's on all of the occupants. Everything's fine and everything. And discuss the time on with the helmet, and Zatara, she's like, hey, so is everything okay? He's like, Zatara at first was like, just stoic. He's like, my faith and love for my daughter got me through, and then he just breaks down, kind of thing. But then...
And she also does mention that the students, people on the bus, she has actually been counseling since they go back into the past. For the past 10 years, many of them she has seen. So it's a weird cool little time thing where they went back to their time period, which was the beginning of the show, which was 10 years ago. And she has been talking to them through that time period. So it's a cool little... weird ass time loop thing with that.
But then here's where it gets even weirder, because that's usually where the post credit scene ends, with a little something like that. But no, we get a little extra. In Fawcett City, we see Mary sitting outside of a phone booth crying as we hear a voice, who is Granny Goodness, mind you, is like,
Hell
oh,
yeah.
they don't like you because they're jealous of your powers. They deny you to use it because they think you're going to be too impressive. They know you're strong. They know you're amazing, and they just want to cut you down. So you need to not obey their rules. You need to do things on your own. And like whispers, you need to say the word. Say it now. And Mary just whispers, Shazam. Bolt of lightning strikes. End of the episode.
Hell yeah. And all my DC fans out there who read Countdown to Final Crisis and Final Crisis know exactly where that's going and are fucking hype as hell for it, because that is why Mary Marvel is one of my favorite characters. Is this specific arc that happened, I think maybe like 2008 or 9, before the new DCU, at the Final Crisis of DC in one of their previous universes. Fucking yeah, her joining the Female Furies and becoming a fucking psycho evil Mary Marvel is very, very fun storyline. But yeah, that is the end of this arc. A very, very awesome arc. Like I held back from saying it, but this is also my favorite arc of the entire fucking show, practically. I think.
Yes.
It's so fucking fantastic. God, yeah, the all the backstory with where actual metahumans came from, where the magic users came from, where the sea people came from, which we're gonna see more of next arc. It's incredible. It's really, really fucking cool, and I'm so glad we got to cover this one. And also, yeah, finally wrapping up the story of all the way back in the first episode of this batch I talked about with Lucifer, Dream of the Endless, aka the Sandman, getting the key to hell, all the chaos and other religions trying to get the afterlife keys. The representative of the Lords of Chaos, Princess Jemmy, aka Pa the Child, does, like, they all try various ways to assuage Dream to give him to give them the key. They, like, bribe him. They offer him other stuff, other magical items, other, like, abilities or access to their realms. And of course, Dream already has all of this stuff, and he doesn't need any of it because he's fucking endless. He's, like, above all of them. And the funny thing is that the Chaos Lord, Princess Jemmy, the child, tries to, like, she goes, like, it's like they have a party over the course of the night. All these beings kind of, like, mingle and talk to each other about their plans and schemes. And then at night, Dream's in his own room, and they all, like, take turns talking to him, trying to bribe him. And then when the child comes for the Lords of Chaos, she, like, tries to threaten Dream, tries to turn into a gigantic monster, and he literally is like, hey, cut that shit out. I'm older than all of you dumb Chaos Lords, and like, I'm more powerful than any of you. Get out of my fucking face. She kind of just, like, leaves, like, sad and depressed and, like, doesn't get the keys. But it's funny seeing, like, how much of a badass Sandman is compared to the Lords of Chaos we've just been watching this whole season.
Right. That is kind of funny.
But yeah, he's just getting, like, the Lords of Order as angle is just like, hey, it's the right thing to do, and he's just like, ... no. And then sends them away too, so they don't get
Sounds about right. It's just like, it's the right thing to do for order. No. Go away.
Yeah, no. He finally does say, like, okay, I know I'm going to do it the key, but just as he says that, two, like, Judeo-Christian angels say, like, not so fast. That key is not yours to give. It's our God's key, so we'll give it. And James kind of, like, just like, all right. And he gives the two angels the key. And then the other guy, like, just has it, gives it to his partner. So it's like, okay, it's your job. You guard hell. Bye. And then the guy just, like, leave. And it's the end of the storyline. But it's really, really fantastic. There's a lot of funny stuff in there. Definitely check it. Just read all of Sandman. It's a fucking great series. But yeah, it's, I love the fucking... this magic arc. I love the religious inspections of all of this kind of stuff. It's just it was all around fantastic. It's really, really great arc. And also really shows that this whole show is like a vehicle to show how awesome Vandal Savage is.
Mm-hmm.
I love this show to just show how awesome Vandal is. What did you think of this whole section?
So, if you were to ask me when I first watched this what my favorite thing about this thing was, I would have told you, yay, my boy Clarion's back. That dumb, stupid Lord of Chaos. That idiot is back, and I love his stupid face. And honestly, I gave it some thought, and so
that's still true.
No, sort of. But because the only thing Clarion has going for him right now is he's just a fucking idiot. He's really fucking stupid. I mean, don't get me
like
wrong.
anyone can ever get
He's
anything
got.
over on him.
Don't get me wrong. He's got power to back it up, so he's allowed to be fucking stupid. But he's an idiot.
Yeah.
He's like really like this entire time. You know, instead of saying "oh crap," it's "oh carp." You know, hey, we're gonna do this. Meow. Yeah, they knew I meant this word. Kind of thing. The child. I mean, the fascination of the chaos, the Lords of Chaos coming down and bringing someone else, and apparently knowing that it's a reoccurring character in the DC universe, is cool and all. However, she's kind of bland.
Yeah, I thought she was very bland. Jimmy was much funnier.
Very bland. Like, oh my gosh! Like she was like when you say, "Hey, this is someone who has the powers of chaos. What do we do?" That's like the textbook. This is what we do with chaos, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here. I'm like, okay, you're bland. Khalid, Tracy, and Mary. Seeing 3 other people. I think this was Khalid's introduction, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like actually getting to see them in action, learning from Zatanna, very cool. 3 different aspects of magic. And I mean, but the main thing, the one thing that I think is the reason why I think this is the most interesting thing ever is actually the whole storyline of Vandal Savage. It's no mystery that like in Superman TSA, in Justice League Unlimited, he was just like a regular ass villain. Sure, there was that episode of the Justice League where, you know, he got sent to where Superman got sent to the future, and Vandal's like, "Look, I'm an immortal. I don't get to die so easily just by walking around. I realized I did something bad. Go to the past, stop me, change the future." In which case, the Justice League proved that it was a monoverse, not a multiverse, because Superman did change everything, and in the future, where it was desolate and destroyed, it actually was prosperous. But in this show, Vandal Savage is extremely, and I mean extremely complex. Like, yeah, he's got the light on his side. He's the head of the light, pretty much. Yeah, he's a villain. He wants to rule the entire world. But then you have moments like this where he's like, well, ordering, like he was able to go to these cosmic beings and be like, yo, I get it. I did some fucky-wucky things. But I did it to prove a point. Here's my point. And got them to say, you know what? You're right. And like for Vandal Savage to have that much power, and the only thing going for him is not only being able to retain all of the knowledge that he has had in his immortality, but actually having like not only being extremely intelligent, but the fact that he. Hey Matt, let me cook on this one, okay? Don't jump the gun until I'm finished, okay? He's kind of like Batman, only in that he really doesn't have a superpower. The only thing he has going for him is, sure, he's immortal. Yes, we understand that. He's an immortal. But he really doesn't have any powers aside from that. And he was able to look at the Lords of Order and Chaos and be like, this is my case. Let's get this shit together. And they're like, all right, we will. And plus the fact that we pretty much got Vandal Savage's history. About his entire history. His entire history up to this point. And I kind of like that aspect a lot. Don't get me wrong, the magic is great. Got to see my boy Etrigan again, but I really think the one that shines the brightest in this is Vandal Savage.
Hell yeah. Legit. It's this whole arc was like a fucking vehicle to just tell you how fucking awesome he is. Did you watch the Suicide Squad Hell to Pay movie?
No, I've only seen the first one.
Okay. He's no. I mean, the animated movie.
Oh. Are you talking about the one with the card?
Yeah.
I only know that from certain clips, and I've only seen like 2 or 3 clips.
Okay. Yeah, because that one has my favorite character, Scandal, his daughter. But Vandal's also like a main villain in that too, which is very fantastic. But yeah, Vandal's fucking amazing. In almost every story he's in, he's the fucking best. The only, like, I'm pretty sure I probably told this anecdote before because I love talking about very specific comic storylines. The only time he was ever like fucking straight up clown mode was in Salvation Run, which I'm sure I described it to you before on this show probably multiple times. Salvation 1 was kind of like a super Suicide Squad thing where I don't know if it was the Justice League or like somebody, but like they got I think it was maybe Amanda Waller with their Suicide Squad idea. They got literally like all the villains on the Earth and like put them on another planet, like an island by themselves on this planet, and just let them do whatever the fuck they want. And like it's one of the coolest, funniest fucking arcs you'll ever see. But in that, they had Vandal Savage and like what his whole thing, he was like a side minor like B plot, not like a C or D plot of him just like having all these female villains like Ice or Killer Frost or Cheetah and like Enchantress, a whole bunch of these really powerful, really strong female villains, and like convincing them that he knew somewhere safe and the way to get off the island. But then in the end, his plan was to just sleep with all of them, have a bunch of metahuman children, and rule the planet. And then they just literally end up beating the shit out of him and like burying him in the ground.
That's stupid.
It's very stupid. It's like one of the worst storylines Vandal Savage has ever had, and like everyone hates that story because he's such a clown. You see, like any other storyline with Vandal Savage would like completely hate that version. It was terrible. It was a dumb idea, but the comic itself is very cool. But yeah, Vandal Savage. This show is like he's so fucking fantastic. Everything about this, the magic, the religious stuff, the Vandal Savage backstory, just like the history and the Lords of Order and Lords of Chaos, the crazy warping around the planet, everyone coming together. Like this is probably my favorite arc so far. But we'll see how it feels about the next couple.
And this arc right here proves my point from all the other times that Young Justice definitely like takes certain topics and does it correctly. The whole like religion versus like magic thing where to some religions, like to a lot of religions, it's like no, you cannot do magic. That's the devil's work kind of thing. And they were able to find a way to integrate the two of them together without having to go to that bullshit. I liked it. They handled it very well. Yeah, like they always do. Which,
of course,
yeah,
amazing series.
So
amazing series. I wish it got another season, but who knows? Never probably. But yeah, we can wrap up this arc in this incredibly long episode. Like, just to say. The other day I was looking at the episodes and like our first episode fucking Young Justice was like under 40 minutes.
Well, yeah.
And now look at us.
Well, yeah, because we're still trying to utilize the shorter episodes thing.
Yeah, of course, it totally is working.
Yeah, and this time around, I mean, it didn't work. It did not work. But then again, this arc we had to cover 5 episodes. So
there's no way in hell we could have split this up. This was too awesome to not have. To
well, that and it's like what, a 2 and 3. Yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm glad we covered this like this. It was fantastic. But yeah, I'm ready to wrap this one up.
Yep.
Fucking a great episode.
I can tell you for a fact I do not have any plugs, but Matt, take it away with the plugs.
The usual. Matthew Liz Podcast. Check it out on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, which I do not use. I have not used like years now. Patreon. Check that shit out. Hopefully I'll put the podcast feeds up at one point, but in the meantime, just keep checking it out on YouTube. Listen to the old episodes. Listen to Movie Garbage. Listen to The Forgotten Minotaur King. Listen to old episodes of this show. Fucking keep an eye out for new episodes coming soon. This has been a fucking awesome ass fucking thing. Fucking hype as hell. Also, I don't know if you've cut on at any point how I was doing the episodes, Ben.
What's up?
Did you catch on at any point how I was doing the episode titles?
No, because it was hard on my end. It was hard to hear you because you had that voice that was so low that Discord could not pick you up.
Oh, okay.
I could definitely hear you were doing some kind of lower voice. So what were you trying to go for?
Can you hear that?
Oh wait, is that a fucking recording? You fucking cheater!
How about you listeners? Just make sure that you keep it sleazy.
Kuvira's Gambit.